Hello, my biddies. How are you today? I'm not any better than Tuesday. In case you haven't heard, I'm on a subreddit and it's like, because I'm the resident bearer of bad news, Tim Curry also died yesterday. So the universe keeps offering 80-year-olds and they keep missing the one that needs to go. Can we hold out hope for today? You know. Yeah, it's taking the wrong ones, dude. Come on. Oh, I hate it so much. I hate it so much. So, what's up, guys? Not much from my end. Um, so apparently we went to war in Russia against attacking NATO countries, so that's probably a good thing. What else we got? What else we got? Excuse me. I need to finish my update on this browser. Oh, yeah. So yesterday I did my thing. I went to Costco and forgot to buy peanut butter. I'm a bad person. I was supposed to buy crunchy peanut butter for my husband. I forgot to. So I'm going to go grocery shopping tomorrow. Or not necessarily grocery shopping, but shopping tomorrow. So I'll pick some up at Wally World. um, Wally World kind of is just as good. Actually, I should go to Kroger and get it. Kroger peanut butter is really good, by the way. I know this because I had a friend who did. His mom was doing the taste test things at the marketing things that they do at the stores, and she was working in Kroger, and one of them was taste test test tasting test tasting peanut butter, and the Kroger actually won. Kroger brand peanut butter won over all the brands, so that was interesting. I would like to do stuff like that. That would be fun if I could get my family to do it with me. Oh, by the way, I'm wearing my Dolly shirt in honor of the Queen. So after my daughter texted me, my son texted me, and then my best friend texted me about Dolly on Tuesday. So everybody knows. Everybody knows. I almost texted my best friend, and then she texted me. So that was fun. Speaking of texting, our first uh, our first read is from Mildly Infuriating, entitled "Texting with My 14-Year-Old Requires Next Level Interpretive Skills." And I will show it to you because it's very odd. So it's like, I'm picking you up where and when. 5B or BR9. Huh? Do you speak English? Honey, this is not a texting problem. This is your 14-year-old has an issue problem. That's the only one, right? Yeah. This is just him or her not being probably drunk. Is your 14-year-old drunk or on drugs? Because that's what that looks like. Um, favorite comment is from Winter Chalice, and it says, "Your teenager texts like my 60-year-old mother. She was trying to ask if I purchased guinea pigs or hay." It says, "Jim missed something by you, Moorhead." And they say, "Huh?" And he says, hey, hey, Ahay, hey. The answer, "Are you okay?" I'm alone laughing at alone imagining Miss Bayou Moorhead, who is a beauty queen covered in hay. Hay is awesome. A hay instead of ahoy. If you're on land, you say ahoy, hey. If you're on a ship, you say ahoy. Someone put up a meme of looks like from Pulp Fiction, saying English MF, do you speak it? And Alexa Felicity answered that one. I made this reference to my 18-year-old coworker the other day. She didn't get it. I can't blame her, I guess, because that movie came out before I was born. I did tell her it was a film worth watching. Is it though? Is it really? Sky Elf answers WTH. I didn't even watch the entire movie yet. Even I, also born after it came out, know the reference. It did not come out after. I was a full grown adult when that came out. Probably with kids. Ganselbaum has translated for us, and they say, 5 knots bearing east, be ready at 9. It's so funny. Put in a weed GIF that just says, it's a crow smoking a cigarette. It says too high. And the upstairs scientist says, I love that. It's a normal cig. Next, we have Petty Revenge, and it is entitled, I signed my ex-boss up for notifications regarding a donation in honor of a guy who wrote up who turned out to have cancer. Oh, my. Some backstory, my ex-boss was a bane of my existence when I worked for him. This story isn't about me, though. It's about the manager he treated poorly until he died of cancer. This manager, let's call him Jacob, was amazing. When I got hired, he was who did my interview, and he was very upfront about the expectations of the job, and overall a very nice man. Our job isn't exactly a modest one, but he said it was thanks to us that the corporate could run smoothly, and without us it wouldn't succeed. A year or two in, the corporate hired his new boss. Let's just call him Dale. Dale already had a bad reputation with the corporation and other facilities because Dale is following up. They don't like him where he is, so they give him a promotion instead of firing him like he deserves. He wasn't exactly the nicest. My brother, who was also familiar with Dale and the corporation, when he heard he was the new chief, my brother got frustrated. Needless to say, Dale was not a favorite with customers. How he got the job is beyond me. How he got the job is he successfully failed up. My manager oversaw our department and another department, and there were 2 other managers. That's much better. For me, maybe not for you, but for me, I like my vacuum in the background. Yeah, that's because my husband decided to put some shoes on that had dried mud on them and trounced it all over the house the other night. I was not a happy camper. Like, this is not from little kids, and this is not from a little bit of mud. This was like your shoes were caked in it, and it was dry. Well, thankfully, it was dry. And it wasn't my son because I hadn't been there all day. It only happened when my husband got home from work. I was not happy. I barefoot in the house in the summer, so I don't even have socks on. So I'm like, everywhere I step, I'm getting dirt on my feet. It was super annoying. So annoying. Sorry. ADD moment. Our manager oversaw our department and another department, and there were 2 other managers who saw over the other 2 departments. 4 departments in total, with Jacob overseeing 2. This used to be a 2-manager job. Jacob has been asking them to hire a second manager so the workload wasn't so overwhelming. Both of these departments are the biggest and basically around 75 people, while the other 2 are only about 30. And eventually they hired a second person, a woman. Yeah, my husband, emergency situation, had to cover 2 departments at one time. It was not a fun time. He gained so much weight because he was so stressed out. He was getting 60 emails a day on a good day. Yeah, one was the IT department, so it was a huge department with huge responsibilities. And he used to work and they only gave him a 10% raise for that time. He needed double, at least double of what he was making. And it was still been less than what they were paying for 2 people to do that job. It was insane. After about a year, Jacob confessed our new boss had been writing him up over and over again for super minor things like paint jobs not being the good shade of red or staying over to help out when he was leaving at scheduled times. He told us all of his years of working there and even anywhere at all, he's never been written up. He was less than 5 years away from retiring, was talking about spending the remaining years working at McDonald's just to get away from the hostile environment. That is not a good way to do that because they base your Social Security on your last, I believe, 3 years of employment and your highest, combined with your highest 3 or 5 years of your pay. Corporate was not doing anything, and HR was basically accusing him of it and then making it up and sided with Dale that Jacob deserved the write-ups. We were on to our spring projects when news came during an interview that Jacob fell asleep. The woman, let's call her Kathy, told Dale she was concerned for his health. Kathy is a case of her own. She had no experience in our department and only got the job because her office was next to Dale's, despite multiple qualified people applying for it. Who is hiring these managers? Who's doing the hiring here? Because that's concerning. Individual leaders of group projects across the company applied, some of whom had 15 plus years experience. Most of us didn't like Kathy because she didn't give us a project that really never made sense. Really ever. I think they meant really ever made sense. She'd give us a project that really never made sense. Okay. I guess I wrote it wrong. Or suggest an idea that virtually couldn't work or would make the project longer to complete. Dale put Jacob on temporary leave and then instantly hired a replacement. The replacement was a kid, barely an adult, 18 years old, and also had no experience. Now our department was ran by people who had no idea what they were doing. According to one of my senior coworkers, she saw Dale and the replacement at church together, always talking. So you can imagine how annoyed we are. Yeah, so that's a type of nepotism. So now concerning Dale, having written Jacob up numerous times, we suspected he was going to fire him regardless of all this was a health concern or not. Turns out it was. Jacob had learned a month later, after a lot of visits to the doctor, had scanned blood work, he had lymphoma, secondary lymphoma that traveled to his brain. Only a day or two after he found out, he passed away. Oh my goodness, I know how that feels. I know how that feels. For those survivors, of course. Obviously, I'm not dead. I don't think I'm dead. Maybe I'm just living in hell. We're just living in hell there. It broke all of our hearts to hear it. While I grieved, I decided to skip straight to the anger stage, and I would grieve my own way after I felt like I got my revenge. I went to St. Jude's Cancer Research page and signed up to donate once a month to the lymphoma research with my money, but with his work email and work address. If you've ever donated to St. Jude, they let you choose to donate the amount in honor of someone, in which I chose Jacob. My boss had been in an email thanking him in honor of his donation to Jacob for lymphoma cancer research. I don't even care if he cancels his subscription to the emails. I just wanted him to get the one single email thanking him for the donation and maybe some mail about donating. This happened many years ago, but I felt like sharing. There's that little stink pot. I have a groundhog. I think it's living under my deck. To honor Jacob, yeah, don't look like a cute prairie dog out there. You are not a prairie dog. Stop it. You little snot. To honor Jacob, I bought a pinned Asian blue bee with a paper and a display that said, "Be thoughtful." It's a reminder to always be thoughtful of what other people are going through. That's heartbreaking, man. Yeah, to be really, that's kind of how it happened to Dolly a little bit. From what I understand, everyone knows that her husband of however long, lifelong husband, passed away. I think they were married like almost 50 years or almost 50 years. He passed away last year. And she had been taking care of him for a while. And apparently at the expense of her own health. She wasn't paying attention to what was going on in her own body because she was so concerned about what was going on with him. And that's my speculation is that's what happened. She let her own health issues go on without getting any help at all. And then it cost her life. It's just that type of person. I mean, if that's what cost her life, that is totally on brand for Dolly. Taking care of somebody else over your own self. Bluefoot says, make another donation, see if you can get Dale's home address. St. Jude Fundraising will send him emails for decades. Opie says, this is actually possible. I wonder if he ever did cancel it. We're coming close to the date he was put on leave, and it's close to the day Jacob died. I think it would be a good time to figure out how to do so he can be reminded. Yeah. Acanthe is just, I have no idea really what that's. I butchered that, I know. Perfect revenge, as far as I can tell. The manager sounds like a real piece of work. I have worked for managers and plant managers just like him during my work life, and they are just a-holes. OP says, I feel almost all the managers that I've had don't deserve to be managers. Some of them don't. Some of them are just not good. Knit Sanity says, excellent. When Reverend Fred Phelps from the Westboro Church died, a friend and I sent his family a condolence card telling them donations had been made in their father's name to Sandy Hook Foundation and the Matthew Shepard. Then we sent the donations, petty but satisfying. That's awesome. I love that. That's really cool. Those people are jerks. Next is Am I Overreacting? And it is entitled AIO for my boyfriend cropping me out of an Instagram photo. As the photo, it says, did you crop me out of this? He says, what picture? The one with you, with me, person one and person two that we took after the fireworks. He says, it must have been a mistake. I'm not good on Instagram. Then why does it just happen to be you and person number one or two? It doesn't say which. What are you trying to say? Don't make this a thing. Hello? Those were his answers. For context, me and my boyfriend of 2 years went out to a 4th of July party. His ex-girlfriend was there. Me and her are on good terms, so we all had taken a photo together. I woke up this morning to the photo being cropped with me and everybody else removed, and now my boyfriend is playing dumb, and I'm not sure how to go about this because I just might be overreacting. I don't think so. That's not right. That is not right. You should go since you're on good terms with the ex, you should go to her and say, yo, do you know what's going on here? Do you know what's going on here? Because I'm trying to figure it out. Don't accuse. Don't accuse, just talk. Say, you don't have any idea what this is all about. Because it's weird. Electrical Rip says, like others have said, the what picture is the start of many gaslighting efforts. You need to trust your gut. He also said, I'm not good with Instagram. Eek. It screamed lie. I'm sorry you're dealing with this and definitely not overreacting. Earl Grey Tea Hot answers, a lot of folks missing that he began this entire action with the most in-your-face lie possible, staring directly at the picture in question and asking what picture. Like, I would have literally said, the one I just sent you, you freaking moron. Somebody had put a gif of throwing him in the dumpster. And throw him in the dumpster and then set it on fire. Goldine Freddy said, I'm not good on Instagram. We are reaching levels of weaponized incompetence that shouldn't even be possible. Wayne this dude. Nostradamus says, no, don't wing this. No, don't wing this dude. Accident okay says, as we say in my house, wang whoever, but not in the fun way. Tell them to go get wanged somewhere else. That's what you should do. Next, we have entitled people entitled That's My Table. How many of these have we had entitled That's My Table? Last summer, I had some time to kill. Am I advertising for McDonald's right now? Let's not. Let's not advertise for McDonald's right now. Last summer, I had some time to kill while the car was being worked on. I went to a fast food restaurant. It was the middle of the afternoon, and there were no other customers when I walked in the door. The restaurant was arranged with 4 rows of 5 tables, all of them identical and all with the same number of chairs. That's 20 tables. I ordered and sat down. A few minutes later, a man came in and ordered and then sat down at the other end of the room. That left 18 open, identical tables. When I was about halfway through my meal, a family came in. They ordered. Then a kid who looked like he was about 8 or 10 headed in my direction. He walked up and said, "Lady, you're going to have to move. That's our table. We always sit there." Okay, Sheldon, good luck with that. I'm kind of like that. Like, don't sit in my seat and don't sit in my parking spot, but I can live with it without confronting people. Um, One of the nicest things about being a retiree is you can pretend not to help and people might fall for it. Kid's father came over. I thought he was going to correct his kid because that's what a reasonable person would do. Nope, he told me that they always sit at that table and stared at me. I ignored him. They then sat down at the table next to the one where I was sitting, kept accidentally getting into my personal space and then glaring at me every time I did it. I ate slowly just to ignore them because they were annoying me. This is almost a petty revenge. I waited until they were finished eating before I got up and leaving so they could not switch tables. Petty, maybe, but oh well. This could go petty revenge. This could go, yeah, I hate them. I hate these people. Interesting when he says, "I'm a retired old lady. Don't mess with me. I have all the time in the world to be petty." Girl, same. Broken Chap says, "Not retired slash middle aged. I make as much time as needed to be petty in that sort of situation." Guilty objective answers, "Yes, I've taken my sweet time buckling my seatbelt, adjusting the radio, adjusting the rearview mirror, finding something important in my purse, just to piss off people who are acting way too impatient to get into my spot. On the other hand, if they were waiting politely and patiently, I will try to be as quick as I to get strapped in and leave." How do you actually know? How can you tell? Be like Ev says, "I've actually turned my car off after having shown my reverse lights to someone beeping and gone back into the store watching." Yes, I love it. I've never honked at anybody for parking spots. Weird. I have, however, waited to tell the person in front of me left before turned on the car because I didn't want to back up. No Link says they were entitled, but you weren't entabled. Puzzle accountant says, "How dare you? Here's your damn upload." Mm. Pixaholic says the best thing about encountering entitled people is making sure they don't get what they want. Heck yeah. One person says, "Hell yeah." That's a their top rated comment. Okay. Next one, Murdered Guy Rosen says the ratio on this guy. They blocked out who said it, which they're not supposed to do on the subreddit, I believe. America wasn't stolen from native tribes. America was conquered by a superior tribe. I can't even. I already had this conversation today. Honestly, I could probably go find it. So if immigrants take your job, it's not taken, it's conquered by a superior worker. 150%. No, I seriously did have a conversation like this. Like, this idiot's like, "Well, if you think it's stolen land, blah, 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 then you're gonna have to go back and redo um, all of the country borders." It's like, okay, let's. I said, okay, let's. I have no problem with acknowledging history. I always tell my brother-in-law, who is Mexican, um, American. I mean, he was born in the U.S., so was his whole family, but they're Mexican, by culture, as they were born on the border. Which, if you don't know, is very Mexican cultured. Uh, Even though the people there have lived here forever. I always tell him, you have more of a right to this country than I do, because my family came in and conquered your family. and took over. So they have more of a right to be there than we do. What Wales is conquering is just stealing through force. New library guy says stealing plus killing people. 100%. Rawr, big scary bears. This is the same guy who said Christianity is in the Constitution because they used AD for the date. He also calls himself a professor. Wow. Gold Esherbot. I like him. I assume it's a guy because the picture's a guy, but I don't think it's that guy. Says Christian beliefs, 1, use the same dating system everyone else uses, and 2, there are no other beliefs. That's about right. RGQ Cat says, I didn't steal your Amazon package, I conquered it. Canadian Horse Gal says, that made me giggle, thank you. It was apparently Canadian Horse Gal's cake day. Oh, yeah, these are good. This is healthy for me. It's giving me a laugh. Next, we have Traumatized and Back, and is entitled When Racial Stereotypes Override Basic Biology, Traumatized Back with Biology. I'm of Filipino heritage. Mom with dark hair and brown eyes. Dad is European. Living very white part of the world, the Nordics. However, my daughter with Swedish blue-eyed dad has bright blue eyes. I knew it was a long shot since both parents had brown eyes. They couldn't remember if their parents had blue eyes. But I get basic biology, and ta-da, the recessive gene enters the chat. Both of my grandmothers had blue eyes. Both of my grandfathers had hazel eyes. I don't know where the brown eyes all came from. My dad has hazel eyes. My mom and I have brown eyes. My sisters are darker brown. My husband has hazel eyes, and my oldest son has hazel eyes, but the other 2 have brown eyes. It's weird. Eye color is weird. When she was little, her darker hair really made her blue eyes pop. It was quite eye-catching. No pun originally intended, but now a bit funny. People would look at her and then me and then back and curiously ask cautiously, is she your daughter? Why would you think that it wasn't? Eyes. My niece-in-law is biracial. Her brother has blue eyes or green eyes. He might have green eyes because they're biracial, and you can have any other kind. You can have any color eye you want. There's never any open malice when I would get the question. I thought it was mildly infuriating. Most of the time, it was just lazy ignorance, consternation due to norms of what people who look like me should produce as offspring. But it was still such an insensitive and entitled thing to ask me. I'd simply answer simply yes, since they left it at that. They were sometimes so visibly perplexed. I'd say nothing further. Also, people do adopt kids, and yet they're still their kid. There was no need to traumatize anyone for their poorly delivered curiosity. But every now and then someone would just keep at it. It wasn't that they didn't believe me. It was that they couldn't quite make sense of her bright blue eyes and their bias-laden adaptation of biology. But she has blue eyes. Okay, and? That's what I would say. Okay, and? And then I couldn't help myself since it happened a bit too often. I glanced from side to side as if making sure no one could overhear, and then leaned in and whisper as though I was confessing something. I think her father was cheating on me. Oh, that was hysterical. The look. First came the look of sympathetic horror. Then gradually, you could watch a coin drop from the understanding about how that's not that's not how that biology works. If I was feeling kind of, I quickly giggle and let them know I was messing with the mild traumatization. If I wasn't feeling particularly sympathetic, I'd just leave it and let the uncomfortable silence do all the work. Gershala is the first comment, top-rated comment. I say, I laughed so hard at this, could picture the wheels turning and then screech to a grinding halt. Bravo. My sister-in-law, Japanese descent, would do something like this when she took my daughter out, white blonde hair and blue eyes. You could almost smell the brain burning. Ellie added spelling, but she was decent too. Drainbeard answers, my husband is mixed and my daughter is white. When he takes her out somewhere without telling me, he gets a lot of sideways looks, especially now that she's an older teenager. Nobody ever said anything. I don't know which of them would be more savage if they did, but to be honest, she's very bonded to her bonus dad and has quick wit and would probably rattle off some one-liner while he's still internally counting to 10. Master collection, is he bothering you? He's my stepdad. That's kind of his job. Good one. Plastic Stable says, I don't understand why people have to always ask us inappropriate questions, cost zero to mind your own business. Opie says that's part of the mild fury. I don't understand how this grates on the parent who gets second guessed that their kid is actually their kid. Forward Face says, my children have the same father. I'm Native American. He is European American. One of our children is lighter skinned. The other is darker than I am. They look alike, even though they are a boy and a girl. A former friend asked if they have the same father. Former. People should listen and learn about science. Yeah, no kidding. That goes for people who don't understand basic biology and gender, too. JPQ says, my sister has twins, a boy and a girl. You wouldn't believe the number of people in the medical profession who would come up and ask if they were identical. Just for the record, in case you weren't unaware, identical twin, boy-girl twins cannot be identical. Identical twins have to be the same sex, because that's how that works, because they're identical. They're from one egg and one sperm. I have nieces that are identical twins. I have a best friend that is a fraternal twin. I also have nephews that are not nephews, cousins that are fraternal twins. They look more alike than the identical twins. Drowning Bat says, God, that brings up back memories. We actually had identical twin boys. They were little. People, mostly old people, come up and ask us, oh, are they twins? Like, duh, mind your own business. I don't have time for you. That's not nice. My husband's favorite comebacks are, have you been drinking? Are you having double vision? No, they're triplets who left the other one at home because we can only fit two in the car. We're taking care of himself by now. I mean, even identical twins, you can't. Like, my nieces could have been easily a year apart in age. Easily their entire lives. Because one was, they had twin transfusion syndrome. Look that up if you want to know. But one of them was very small and never caught up. Patient Parsley says, there are people in the U.S. who would absolutely believe part about your husband, though. It's like a segment of the population takes pride in ignoring everything they were ever taught in school. This is true. That is so true. I live alone. These aren't my nuts. And there's a container of nuts sitting in the cabinet. I'm a single bachelor, 32 male 32, and I opened my snack cupboard to find these peanuts in a small Tupperware container. I'm freaking out because 1, I live alone. B, I have a mild nut allergy. And C, I don't own any Tupperware like this. That's concerning. Professional movie says get a security camera / system of some sort. Without Dennis Nedry says this is red, so I have to add check your carbon monoxide detector. Edit, you guys, look at all the awards you gave me. 111 up like this comment awards. 111. You silly people on Reddit are on Reddit far too often, and I love you. Oh, Scoopsy says, and your septic tank. Cheese Cup says, I'm not familiar with that story, and there's full of crap. Yeah, I don't think so. You don't know that. Ill Engineering says, get a camera, police can do nothing with just a Tupperware of nuts. And there's Mistress says that's why they clearly need better funding. And she says, last I can't believe I have to specify the sarcasm. I can. Sloth Can Swim says, I've been on route long enough to know it's either a person living in your attic or carbon monoxide leak. I would say person living in your attic on this one, because I don't think even carbon monoxide leak would make you get a container. Like, it wasn't even that many nuts. A container of peanuts that, like, I don't think a carbon monoxide leak would do that. I want an update. No updates. He did comment on his TLDR, which was not wrong. And he got wildly downvoted for saying that was last detail remains. No, that's not what that sounds for. It's not very prolific. He only has 9 contributions in 11 years. That's weird. It's really odd. What do you think? Definitely peanuts. This very small container with very few, with that's half full of nuts. Because peanuts are not that big. Next, I have malicious compliance, and it is entitled How I Handle Being the Only Person in a Group Project Who Gave a Kid Single Crap. This should be good. I love this. Long ago, I was a university student majoring in literature. Naturally, I had a schedule packed with lit classes, and this group project took place during a course entitled Madness in Classic Literature. It was fun. Professor was zany, and topics were rather interesting. Well, that's good. Then one day, the dreaded group project assignment arrived. We were to split into groups of 3 and do a 30-minute presentation on madness in any era of literature. I ended up with 2 studious-seeming partners, one of whom was emphatically invested in doing our project on madness in 1800 Scotland. She was persuasive, we were convinced, but when we told the professor, he kind of winced. Then he held us after class and asked if we were sure. She certainly was, and he kind of absently nodded and said he'd help us find a couple of sources since literature in 1800 Scotland is apparently more scarce than what we would think. We ended up with permission to cover Lord Byron by association, along with an incredibly long and dry text about how some guy is either hallucinating or having an existential religious experience with the devil himself. Now, I've read some boring texts in my life, but this piece was far and away the most mind-numbing collection of words my brain has ever scraped itself against. To make matters worse, it soon became very apparent that neither of my partners, including the girl who was gagging over 1800 Scotland to start with, had a single intention of doing any of the work in this project. They didn't even read the material, and not even the relatively short Lord Byron poem. Whoa. WOE. Like, sad. So I just dove in and did the entire project myself, including the required handouts that we were supposed to print out for the class to follow along with our presentation. That's when I decided to get petty. I didn't want to be that student who rats on fellow students, but I also didn't want my partners, especially girls' love of Scotland, force me into this mess to get off entirely scot-free. So I remember scot-free. I wonder where that comes from. This is what I do in my spare time. Scot-free origin. Medieval has to do from medieval English and Scandinavian tax precedents. Has nothing to do with Scotland. Dang, I was hoping it had something to do with Scotland. So I memorized everything. I mean everything. And for the worksheet, I basically wrote down bullet points that revealed nothing about the text or their contents. The day of the presentation arrives, and I met my partners in class to give them the worksheets. They were relieved that I seemed seem to know what I'm doing and suspect nothing wrong. Our time comes and we stand up in front of the class with them on either side of me. I pass out the worksheets and proceed to talk about the madness of 1800 Scotland from memory, going into exhaustive detail on Lord Byron and whatever the Wang protagonist, I think its name was Tim, from the other text. My partners were silently and gravely nodding along for the entire 30 minutes. I finished speaking and then came the Q&A of the presentation. Fellow classmates were encouraged to ask us questions about our era, authors, etc. It lasted about 30 minutes. So I picked a student who asked something about religious aspects of the dry text. I could have answered, but instead I paused and long pregnant pause and gave my partners a chance to answer, said, if they so wished. I let the excruciatingly silent seconds drag on every single time. I looked slowly to both of them with each question, taking my sweet time before jumping in. Within a couple of minutes, it became incredibly evident to everyone that I was the only person in our group project who knew a single GD thing about madness in the 19th century Scottish literature. So sure, I did the whole project. I let them think it was fine up until it wasn't. Petty, absolutely, but by God, if I had to read that awful story because someone else watched Outlander too many times, and I'm going to comply maliciously. I love freaking Outlander. I freaking love Outlander. I loved Outlander before Outlander was a thing. Yeah, before you knew. I loved Outlander maybe before you were even born. When was the first Outlander written? Are Outlander books spicy? Yes, yes, they are. Yeah, 1991. Outlander was 1991. So yeah, before my kids were even born, I was an Outlander fan. Before any of my kids were born, I was an Outlander fan. So yeah, probably since 1993 or 4. Somebody answered a quote because someone else watched Outlander too many times. Oh no, hold on. Let's go back. Top 3 comments from Balls. And they say, similar thing happened to me. I had capstone class presenting a full hour presentation on business case study. I had done almost everything in a 4-person group. Q&A started, and the professor, whose office hours I went to several times for this project, told me I was not allowed to speak during Q&A. I panicked because I knew I was the only one who knew the answers. Part of your grade was being on the board for other people's case studies with the goal of poking as many holes in the presenter's argument as possible. So there were some very detailed questions. After they failed to answer anything of value, she let me answer all of them, and I crushed it. I think she was trying to prove a point. I got a 4.0 in the class, which is known for only allowing 10 of the 150 students to get this specific, to get with this specific professor. The others all got 2.5, 2.5. Curious Friendly Heart says that was an elegant move of the professor. I was in a class once, economic class. We had to do a group project. My group got along really, 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 really well. The guy had just broken up with previous semester or the previous year. I can't remember. Did not. He took over his group, which he always thought he was the smartest person in the room because he graduated from high school early. He was not. He kind of dumb. For sure is the second top rate comment. And it says, because someone quotes, because someone watched Outlander 2 times, it says, I love how just you assume, probably correctly, that 1800s Scotland girlie didn't even read Outlander books. Exactly. Puzzlehead Face says, all I needed to learn about Scotland, I learned from Highlander and Braveheart. Julia Sess says, it's the hoof GP for me. Apparently the Scottish all white cow crap on the back of others' necks to sertons. That is a true statement because I do watch hoof GP. Magic Man says, unexpected Huff GP shout out. I'm here for it. Me too. Gable says, is he the best or what? I adore him. He is great. Kashi Bread says, the only bad thing is that he doesn't take care of his health. That's not for you to determine. Commenters had to beg him to put on protective gear when using the grinder. And also when he cut his hand, it got infected and had to beg him to stop working and take time off to fully heal rather than skipping back to work like nothing happened. Lovely man that needs to take better care of himself. That is normal. That is not unusual for somebody who works in and around animals and agriculture. That's you just do it. Somebody says that they guess Focaccia says they don't know anyone who works in agriculture. And she says, or they say, from your comment, I'm guessing it's common. And Doom Daisy says, if a farmer goes to the hospital, every doctor and nurse is immediately running for them because it's a life and death situation. Farmers use duct tape, dose themselves with antibiotics prescribed for the cows or horses and go until they pass out or a piece of their body falls off or out of them, which there's a nurse called Sam on TikTok, and she lives in an agricultural area, and she has some great skits about farmers coming in. They're like, when a farmer comes in, it's bad. It's gonna be bad. Something got cut off. What's in the cooler? A finger. It's 3 days old. Wasn't there some farm guy who used plant pesticide that has serum to cure a rash or something? He feeds grass now. Oh, he died. That's so sad. Yeah, farmers don't mess with going to the doctor. And I come from farm family, so going to the doctor was very rare. You had to have something serious wrong with you. And keep in mind, I got tubes put in my ears and tonsils and adenoids taken out when I was 7. When I was 10, I face planted. No other word to describe it. Face planted myself over the handlebars of a bike. My nose bled for 10 days. I did not see a doctor. Just saying. My family is from agricultural background. The only reason we aren't still in Arkansas is because my grandma didn't like those mosquitoes in our rice paddies. Slow as a speeding sloth says, my child had is a third top rate comment. My child had her first negative experience of group projects for a final last year, high school sophomore. 4 kids, only 2 of them did any work, and when it came to present, only one of the did nothing kids went first and set the whole crappy tone. Not at all what they discussed 10 minutes earlier. My kid went into the final with an A+. Young teacher, I figured she remembered the imbalance of groups, but she graded the whole project a C. My child was devastated and pissed. I would be too. I don't blame her. I asked if she wanted me to intervene, but since she got an A for the course, she let it go. I told her it's relatively low-stake lessons. Group projects can totally suck, and if she sees it going south, talk to the teacher or take steps to protect her work/grade. My kid is not confrontational in the least, but she is wildly protective of her grades. She'll know better next time. It's a good lesson to learn young and not have any real consequences from it. Mocha Fiend answers, oh man, I'm so pissed for your daughter. As a former freak about my grades, I'm amazed she was able to maintain an A average with even 1 C. A B+ would have dropped my grade in almost any high school class I took. Perhaps the waiting for this project was quite low. Anyway, lesson learned for sure, and OP has shown one particular way to handle it, and one particular way to handle it. Slow as a speeding sloth says, thank you. She was frantically texting me after the presentation. She's usually pretty sedate, but man, she was riled up. She was super stressed to drop to a B, and I believe I would have spoken to her teacher for that. But apparently it wasn't weighted too heavily because she dropped to an A. She was still very unhappy, but she dealt with it. Other one person answers, When I went to community college a few years ago, I had taken extra English class because of transfer credit shenanigans. Always fun. Always fun paying twice for the same education. And since it was a community college, my options were a bit limited, so I took one called Small Group Communication. Oh God, why would you choose that? Somewhat relevant to this, a lot of my classmates are running start students that were still in high school, and they had the work ethic to match. Being in my 30s, I wasn't about to tolerate having a slacker in my group. When I ended one, when I scanned the syllabus, saw a paragraph about giving group members the boot, so I started taking the slightly involved process our professor outlined. After doing all of that and still having the guy flake out, I formally petitioned for his removal from our group, with our professor approved. It was early enough in the quarter that we didn't really experience any significant setbacks. The other four of us were driven enough that being down a person wasn't a problem. I don't think it affected his GPA either. I was trying to intervene before hitting the course withdrawal deadline. Apparently, our professor hadn't actually had someone go through the process before. I found that really interesting because I highly doubt every group had just been that successful, especially with the high number of high schoolers. People just seem to really hesitant to communicate with professors about group issues, although it seems like another professors also seem to treat it as something that you need to work out yourself, even though that sort of laziness will normally get you fired from an actual job. In my biochemistry class, we had a huge group project, and the professor built in multiple ways to evaluate group contributions, especially right at the end. Not only did we have to evaluate our own group mates, we were also separated and presented our projects individually to individuals from other groups, and we had to evaluate each other. If you didn't do any of the work, you wouldn't be able to explain anything, and you couldn't ask anyone from your group since they were presenting somewhere else. Somehow I managed to get my bachelor's without any super awful group experience, which is nice. Most were actually great. My husband wasn't nearly as lucky. I've been really lucky with group projects on the whole. I've only had a couple, like one in high school, one in college, both in economic classes, which is weird. But both of my groups were really good, both the high school and the college ones. So I was very grateful for that. Because I know that either some people either slack off or they take over, and both of those are equally annoying. This is if evil gas station exists, would this count? And I'm saying not. I mean, that just looks like an old-fashioned fun gas station. It's not doesn't even look like a gas station. It looks like a auto repair place. Is it really a gas station? I'm not convinced that it's a gas station. It's in Denver, Colorado, by the way. Dreaming Lemur says that's where the villain for the 2000s Cartoon Network show was. Mystery Shack 2, Gravity Falls. Built 1964, this core of the structure has remained intact, as it has seen its fair share of tenants, varying from nightclubs, restaurants, and gas stations, with accessory structures. Famous A-frame building comes back on the market for sale in Naked Denver. Somebody says it seems pricey. Other people say the prices are crazy. Libertas Vox says that Williams, I'd live right there. I don't blame him. Wonder if that 80-degree angle collects a lot of water on the roof. Get a flamethrower and some salt. We get to go. Yeah, right here. Right where the roof meets that flat garage. That could, but you're supposed to have drains up there, so it shouldn't be a problem. There could even be drains in between. We don't know. Next is AITAH, and is entitled AITAH for taking away a toy from my wife's 3-year-old nephew after he punched my 11-month-old twice. It depends. Were they fighting over the toy or something else? My wife's sister and her husband came from Korea for a 1.5-month visit together with their 3-year-old son and daughter. Their son is uncontrollable, does whatever he wants, and does not listen to his parents. This is called patriarchy. That's very common in Asian households and other patriarchic, heavy societies. Um, Little boys get away with murder, and they do not care. When he does something wrong, they try to talk to him, but he ignores them. He does not understand no. He does. He does. He's 3. He understands no. Guarantee you. And does not care. That's what the issue is. He doesn't care because they don't do anything about it. If you're upset or have a tense voice, he just laughs. I think he does not understand because he was not taught, but maybe there's more to it. I'm not sure yet. I can see how much effort they put into talking, but it does not work. I think boys need discipline and understanding of actions and consequences. I think all kids of that age need discipline and understanding of consequences. We had a row last week at my house because somebody was they were listening, they were not obeying, they were not doing what they were told to do, and they were being obstinate like a dog. Seriously, they were doing things my dog used to do. Of course, she explained that the baby is small. Okay, sorry. Otherwise they will go bananas. Not always, but a lot of times. One day, my 11-month-old crawled to him, was looking to see what was going to happen when no one was around except me. She sat in front of him, and all of a sudden he punched her in the face. Oh my goodness, for no reason. To my surprise, instead of facing consequence, he got rewarded for by his mom reading him a book upstairs. He's 3. He can have a timeout. 3 minutes out, sitting in a chair, not going to kill him. Of course, she explained that the baby is small and that's bad to do that. They say how old the little girl was. Or maybe they're twins, I don't know. This moment confirmed an older suspicion I had, that the boy does not get disciplined. Although some might say I do not know everything, it is true that I do not. But what I do know is that the reaction to this was wrong. Moving forward, he likes to play with the old toy kitchen that my 9-year-old has in the bedroom. And they decided to bring it down to the living room so he could play. That's fair. While he was playing, my 11-year-old crawled up to the kitchen and started to play too. This time I visibly understood that he did not want to share it, and he punched her again. This time I came over and took away the kitchen and said, "No more kitchen for you." Okay, that's fair. Nope, that's fair. Like I said, it had something to do with the kitchen. He cried, of course, so I took him out to the playground to calm him down. My wife confronted me, visibly frustrated. She said he's just a boy and that I do not understand how to raise 2 siblings of the same age. Maybe I do not, I said, but he should not be rewarded for this behavior. Instead, he should have been disciplined. It's not your place, she said. I replied, this is exactly my place. This is my house, my kitchen, and my daughter. And this is the second time he punched my daughter. His parents did not discipline him and instead reward him for his behavior, so I did it. Everyone heard this. I created an uncomfortable environment because I said it out loud. But at the same time, I think their boys should start facing consequences for misbehavior. I've never raised a boy, so I might be utterly wrong. No, you're not. And yet my inner voice tells me there's some truth to what I said. A boy has got to face consequence. Any child, why are we gendering this? Why are we gendering this? It's all kids. If a girl punched a little baby boy in the face, I'd have the same reaction. If a girl was playing with the kitchen and she didn't want the little boy playing there with him and she punched him, I would take away the kitchen from her. Same thing. We don't have to gender discipline. Beauty and Thorn says, NTA, ask your wife why she is okay with her daughter being punched in the face and then being rewarded for that. Carlos Murphy Nacho says, she'll just say he's little and doesn't know any better. He's 3. He needs to start learning better. 2 years, less than 2 years, he's going to kindergarten. Before that, he could go to preschool. They're not going to put up with that crap. They shouldn't. Opie, it's your responsibility as a parent to protect your children at all costs from other adults and other children. Exactly. Anime and Beauty answers, the worst part of a 3-year-old definitely should start understanding punching is wrong at this age. My 3-year-old knows punching is wrong. He still does it sometime, to me at least, because he has no impulse control, but he knows it's bad and he'll get in trouble. I wouldn't normally, but cephalodon, ceph- cephalopodium says everyone has talks about the terrible twos, but I think three is the worst. And I completely agree 100%. Three is worse than two. Three is worse than two because they can actually talk back to you. They have logic and they can argue with you to the ends of the earth. Three is worse than two and always has been. The best way I heard age three explained is that the terrible twos with intent. I love that. I have sympathy for 2-year-olds. They know on some level the words they need and that their body should be able to do stuff, but there's just a whole lot of chaos and failure. That's frustrating. But at three, when you get into knowing manipulation and wanting to be God emperor slash empress, if you don't do the work lovingly, nip that crap in the bud, there's going to be problems. Age four is better. Age five is magic, as long as you are not raising a kid like OP's in laws. Hey, OP, you are NTA. EJ says, I want to freeze my kid. I wanted to freeze my kids at age four. They still loved unconditionally and could tell you what they wanted without just pointing. Four is perfect age. Love four. I love 3, 4, and 5-year. I love 3-year-olds, even though they're 3.5 up, because like they like to explain things to you, and I find that adorable. I find that incredibly adorable. My The oldest one just turned 5, and I'm kind of sad. Although they're not sending him to school yet because he's still young. The cutoff is September 1st. Used to be December, and I didn't send 5-year-olds to school because I couldn't see sending 17-year-olds off to college. They should be adults when they're in college. That's my theory. Second top rated comment is Data Slinger, and they say NTA, you are way more restrained than I would have been. I would have explaining chapter and verse on why they were terrible parents, setting their son up for bad experience when he meets another child capable of striking back. 100%. Yeah, somebody needs to punch that little kid. Another little kid, not an adult. Contact office answers, you're 100% right. My brother was a biter until he met Cynthia, who promptly bit him back. He was shocked, but bit no more. Cynthias are biters. That's been my experience anyway. Old lady whisper and hush. Says same with my 23-pound 2-year-old. Is that normal? What's the average weight for a 23 or 2-year-old? Seems heavy to me. Maybe I'm wrong. I might be wrong. Say 2, and you can change again to 21. 20 and 32 pounds is normal. Okay. 23 is normal. My kids are just really skinny. They were not 20 pounds when they were 2. At least not at the beginning. She got moved to a new daycare classroom when the 2 bigger boys tried to mess with her. She promptly threw them on the ground without breaking a sweat, not realizing she has plenty of wrestling practice with her twin sister. They stayed away from her after that. More spoiled boys need introduced to my girls. Yes, for sure. Like I said, the other kids need to put them in their place. And you can't get mad at the kid for protecting themselves either. Babin says, NTA, they are raising the type of man who doesn't understand the word no and has anger issues. Good on you for defending your daughter. 100%. Analogy answers, my brother is this person and he's absolutely terror to everyone. He's 38, Has several restraining orders, attacks everyone with extreme violence. One day we'll probably kill him in a confrontation. No one will be surprised. Hopefully he's the one getting killed, not the one killing. Next, we have Neighbors from Hell, and is entitled Finally Called Code / Update. Okay, so we're going to need the original. Come on. I won't do what I did earlier, which was mess up my stream. Okay. I got it. Entirely for Hell is from 3 months ago. I finally called code. I've had a couple of bad neighbors through the years. I finally got through the police department to do something about it, mainly for the people who were having parties after midnight on a Wednesday. My other neighbors are a different story. I live on an island, and most places have caught up with the times and building codes. Most houses are elevated for floodwaters and have to have metal roofs. But there are a few instances in some neighborhoods where people are refusing to get with the times. For example, my neighbors across the street from me live in a single wide trailer. There's nothing wrong with that. There's a problem with what they're doing with their property. There was a block shed at the back of their property that housed their washer and dryer, lawn equipment, etc. About a year ago, they built an addition to it and moved one of their friends in it. Not cool. Not really an issue at the time. People fall on hard times every now and then, sometimes need help. Next thing they did was enclose the carport and moved another person in there. Again, it's not bothering anyone, so why would I care? Probably another person falling on hard times that needs some help. Final straw was when they built a shed to their house to house their washer and dryer, lawn equipment, and tools, or so I thought. I got home on Friday and all their stuff was scattered across the yard, and they were moving another person in to live with the shed. Oh, that's too many people. Now, one would think that if you have a bunch of illegal rentals and illegal dwellings on your property, you would want to be as inconspicuous as possible. Well, one would think wrong with these people. The whole weekend they were out blaring music, yelling all day and night. Even when I woke up from work this morning at 3:30, they were still playing music. I had a bunch of friends tell me that I should mind my own business when it comes to stuff, but when they make it my business, something needs to be done about it, right? So I'll see what code does. Maybe uh, it maybe get worse before it gets better. Rant done. Okay, so here's the update. So I posted here about a month and a half ago saying how I called code about my neighbor's illegal rentals that are basically sheds. Code came out and took some pictures and started to look at the original plans for the property. I was notified about issues, and I didn't hear anything for close to 3 weeks until last night. I got home after a day with family on the beach and checked the mail. There was a letter in there with my name and address, but no return address. I opened it and to find a copy of code compliance case with all of my information highlighted and handwritten. Thank you. Now I know who you are. My wife was in the bathroom and heard me start cracking up about it and seeing what happened. Once she rolled her eyes and went back to the bathroom. I don't think these people are very smart. One, you didn't add a return address, but who else would this come from? Obviously, the owner of the property. Two, the information was already considered public information. Anyone can go on there and see who put in the complaint. Well, that's wrong. It was a complete waste of time and postage stamp to get what point across that, I put in a cold complaint against your property. Like I said, these people are SMARC in capital letters. I called local police station, put in a report that I received those letters. So if they do try something against my property or family, they're double screwed now. Rant over. Somebody says smile. A devil's advocate, stop very common. They say smile when you see them. Opie says I'm going to sit in my lawn chair in my driveway, and Forrest Gump waved at them for the next week. Oh, that's funny. Constance Smith says, look at it this way. I just upped any crime he may perpetrate against you 100 to first degree premeditated and a big felony. The anonymous letter is proof of intent. What a bonehead. Let him try something. He'll be in for a heck of a surprise. Stay safe. Eifert sucks says, good on you for reporting the threat to the cops. Too many people just brush that crap off and are flabbergasted when crap escalates because they didn't defend themselves. All you have to do really is keep the letter. Keep the letter. File it away. You might need it later, you might not. Hopefully find a new sense of entertainment soon. Sympathies for your suffering. Next we have Benign Existence, and it is entitled, A Butterfly Trusted Me to Untangle It. I found a butterfly caught in an abandoned spider web. It was fighting to get out of the web, but was too sticky. I managed to get it out, but it couldn't fly as it was too covered in spider web strands. I started to pull off the sticky strands, being careful not to hurt it. It took time. It was very tricky, as the adhesive was surprisingly strong. When it got a bit free, it took off, and I thought that would be that. Instead, it flew back to my hand, and I worked the strand some more. It must have took off and come back to my hand half a dozen more times to let me help it until it finally flew free into the sunny morning. It was a special encounter. Oh, that was sweet. My little prince says I would never expect an insect would understand the link between your hand and help. I mean, butterflies are fantastic, but not the smartest ant around. Such a special moment. Aaron Teaser says, each summer I have black swallows on my deck to make sure I have enough parsley and dill to survive being caterpillars and chrysalis. It says crystallized chrysalises. Call me crazy, but I believe they know I help, and they're a whole lot more intelligent than we give them credit for. Mystical Tater says, I feel like if a creature doesn't show intelligence the way a lot of mammals do, people think they've got no intelligence, even if they've shown they're stupid. I think a lot of insects are smarter than they get credit for. Of course they are. They have brains. They're just really small. Anna Melody says, this is the most beautiful post I've seen on Reddit. So lovely. It's going to end up in Made Me Smile. It's going to end up in Made Me Smile. Granny Go says, I'm all for helping out wildlife. I had a chipmunk who looked dead, but I think was just suffering from an extreme heat wave. I fed it water and stroked it until it brightened up. Then a few almond pieces and walnuts I had for baking. We all need to try and be kind to the creatures around us. Yes. That's why my yard is a sanctuary for deer. But not that groundhog. I don't want it under my deck. I don't mind if it's out in the yard somewhere, but not by my house. Found Satan, entitled Satanic Tip. If a hotel charges me to park, I'm running the water 24/7. Nothing to see or answers. You guys know nothing about how to damage property long term. Inject raw egg with a syringe into soft furniture and beds. The smell would appear only in a few days. After a few days, impossible to get rid of. Total change of furniture. Fizzlemate says, I followed you because you're evil, and I love that. Oh. Skatsky Hopeful says, I don't think I've ever hated anyone that bad. I might have. Jury's still out. Second rated comment is from Tyrag. I can't pronounce it. I give up. It's from I give up. What are you telling me? I could inject eggs into the carpet too and force them to completely remodel the entire room, not just the furniture? Opie says, in our search for Satan elsewhere, we often fail to see the ones among us. Professional Bully says it also works with milk. Was says, why would I inject eggs into milk? People love French toast. Hey, Gay Day says, add some vanilla, crank up the thermometer, and you got creme brulee. I don't think thermometer, I must have to go that high in any hotel room. Next we have Just No Mill. Where are we at? We still have a long way to go. I had 33 today, so. Just No Mill. Mill and Phil are losing it because I booked a holiday while I still can. I was diagnosed with incurable cancer about a year ago. Oh, I'm so sorry, OP. That's horrible. I've responded well to treatment, so we've been going on quite a few cheapo trips this year with my own savings. At some point, this treatment will stop working, usually within 2 years, and then it will be on to something else, maybe chemo. Although my husband was made redundant, and we are living fairly frugally on disability and welfare, we have life insurance, which will pay out near the end of my life, and I will be able to take a pension lump sum, which will be arriving in the near future. So finances are complicated, but not that desperate. Get critical illness cover now, people. I've been wanting to take my kids on a pool and beach holiday, keeping my eye on the last minute deals. The in laws have been dead set against us, wondering why anybody would ever want to leave their home ever. I know your in laws, I think. Why did you marry into that family? Well, when they found out I hadn't done as they wished, they spent $1,000 on a bargain and spent $1,000 on a bargain holiday. Next week, using an interest-free credit card, they hit the roof, bellowing me that they will end up having to pay. Not true. I've never asked them for money, and I have a reasonable lump sum coming. Father-in-law stormed out. Mother-in-law chose to follow me around, asking inane questions, as if I hadn't considered our situation carefully. I'm sorry, if you have cancer, go. Go do the things. Go do all of the things. If you know you're going to die, go do all of the things. She also asked, shouldn't you be saving your money for the children? No. The more I think about that, the worse it is. The kids will be getting money down the line, but no, I shouldn't try and enjoy the rest of my life with them, but instead lie around the house until I die, saving every penny so they have to a bit more in the bank. The freaking cheek of it. Sure, if I wasn't ill, I wouldn't never buy a holiday on credit when we aren't working. We've never not been working before or claimed any benefits, but this could well be the last summer of my life that I can travel abroad. I'm sure I won't regret this relatively small expenditure. We always have bond on our holidays. I'm generally very frugal and sensible with money. Anyway, she sends a text to my husband the next day, and the assault on my character is jaw dropping. Bear in mind, she's a klepto-shopaholic. Oh my. She described how OP's glee in their new credit card is genuinely terrifying. I wasn't gleeful. I just explained that that's how I paid. She said I have a frantic need to spend money. Now, you don't know me, but how I veer on the side of stingy. The projection from the shopaholic is gobsmacking. She said that father-in-law is incandescent with disgust. So over the top and offensive. Oh, yes. She also asked if I'm having counseling and spends a paragraph intimating that I've basically gone mad and asking if he needs help. We've since made arrangements over the phone for them to see the kids on Monday. They pull crap like this every so often, so we will be very much ignoring their dramatics and gray rocking. I've got serious cancer, FFS, and I want to spend some of my own money on a family holiday. Thanks for the bet. I don't care. You can be on welfare and still go on vacation if you're freaking dying. Sharon says, I have a relative that had incurable cancer. He didn't take the trip. He felt so badly so quickly that he couldn't, and now he's gone. Go. You're making memories that will be remembered forever after you left the physical plane. Do it, but don't stop your in-laws. Let's stop telling your in-laws anything. It's none of their business, and they don't have a say. They're truly horrible people. Yeah. Don't tell them anything. Just say you handled it. We're going on this vacation. How are you affording that? We handled it. Don't worry about it. Arn Pink says, good for you. Life is meant to be lived while you can. We all have an expiration date and just happen to know that yours are becoming much too soon. Please don't let her make you feel guilty. Give your kids all the good memories you can. No, Cherie says, I would cancel the Monday visit. Enjoy the holiday. Make the best memories for those kids. Every special moment, something they can look back on with joy. Yeah. Your kids are not going to have you around. Oh, gosh, I'm going to cry again. Your kids are not going to have you around to have memories with. As a kid who doesn't have memories of one of their parents at all, like none as a kid, that's important. I don't have great memories anyway because I have SDAM. Next I have retail tell entitled The Sign I Made at the Pet Shop I Work Regarding Our 4th of July Sale. This is dumb. if you ask me. Warning, calling Clownfish Nemo or Hippotang's Dory invalidates the 4th of July sale. Please have mercy on the staff. I think I found Nemo Dory. No need to say it out loud. But you have kids with you, so you do have to say it out loud, dude. Just saying. Saying you probably do have to say it out loud. So shut up. And who cares? I'm downloading that one. It sucked. I guess it's akin to playing Smoke on the Water at a guitar shop. No stairway to heaven points to a sign. Everyone says OP is a no fun police. Like you don't want to strangle the most. It must be free customers when the item doesn't scan. I don't say that when the item doesn't scan. I say that when it doesn't have a price tag at all. If I'm going to say something out loud, I will stop policing my language, please. Mrs. W says, I want to make a sign near dog toys at my store since there is literally no reason to press the squeaker repeatedly once of enough. If your child can't understand that, please, for the love of God, don't let them touch it. On behalf of our employees. Sorry, I have to do it more than once. My dog's going to do it more than once. I have to know how much it's going to bother me. This U.S. property, this is infuriating and to dial U.S. property laws or something else. Yeah, stop. I think. Yeah, that's okay. So something about U.S. property laws. Here we go. Yes, video.
Hey, so the government won't let me live in this treehouse that I spent the last 4 years building, and the reason is incredibly stupid. As we already established, the county said I could build a treehouse, and the county seats changed. The new guy said, hey, no, never mind, you need a permit for that. And that turned into like a 1.5-year battle, and they didn't want to give us a permit. And when they finally did give us a permit, they said, okay, fine, you can build it, but you need to make it bigger, up to 1,200 square feet to meet our minimum size requirements, you know, so we can tax you more. So we got the permit, and now there's a new problem. Now they say that my parents cannot build a house on the same property, which is over 100 acres, by the way, because now the treehouse is the primary residence, so we can't do another house. So we meet with the county again, and we're like, hey, so the treehouse is still only 750 square feet. We have not made it bigger, which means it meets your size requirements for an accessory structure, so we should still be able to build a main house over there. Nope. That's impossible. Why is that impossible? Well, because our ordinance strictly prohibits building the accessory structure before the main house, because then people just never build the main house. Yeah, but we're actually trying to build the main house, like right now. We're trying to build it, but you're saying no. So we go in circles and circles, and they're just like, sorry, it's impossible. You cannot build another house on the property. So my dad's like, well, can we just apply for a variance? And he's like, yeah, you can, but they'll definitely deny it. And then I found a loophole. I said to him, I said, why don't we just divide the property on paper, draw an invisible line down the middle, and then my parents can pull a permit for this property, build their main house, and when they finish, we can reassemble the properties and the treehouse becomes an accessory structure to the main house. Well, yeah, I guess that could work, but you can't get a certificate of occupancy for your treehouse until your parents' house is finished, which means I can't live in it because in 2026, you need the government's permission to live in a house that you built. So we had to pay surveyors thousands of dollars to draw invisible lines across the property so that my parents can build on the exact same property. And then when they finish, we will pay them thousands more dollars to erase the invisible lines and put the properties back together. Otherwise, I have to nearly double the size of the treehouse. So in summary, I can't live in the treehouse because it's an illegal structure and it's not big enough. But if I make it bigger, then it's okay. But also now it's too big, so now my parents can't build a house over here. But if I draw an invisible line here, then they can build a house over here. But I still have to make the treehouse bigger. Unless I erase the invisible line after my parents' house is done, then the treehouse is okay. But I still can't live in it until my parents' house is done because you can't build the accessory structure first, according to the city ordinance, even though it's already done. So I guess my wife and I will just keep living in this leaky, mold-infested camper. And what makes this even more interesting is that they tried to jack up the property tax bill this year because they claimed that the treehouse was done and that we were living in it. But we also don't have a CO and we're not allowed to live in it. So which is it? Make it make sense. I'll pay the freaking increased property tax if I can just live in my stupid house. The comments are going to say, bro, just live in it anyway. How will they know? All that being said, my hope is that when my parents actually break ground, which should be in the next couple of months, I can convince them to give me the CO and I can actually move in. I feel like that's a perfectly reasonable request. We're not trying to cheat the system. We're not trying to work around the rules. We've got a main house
You
and an
are.
accessory house. That's all we're trying to do here. But they're making us go run around in circles and waste a ton of money on invisible lines.
But you are trying to beat the system because the system is telling you can't do that, which is fine. I mean, I don't have a problem with them beating the system. It's fine. But it is very confusing. Like, decide. Infamous Crab says building restrictions are a huge contributor to the cost of living crisis. True. If you have to have 1,800 square feet, my house is 1,800 square feet, and it's a nice house. It's a nice big house. You do not need a 1,800 square foot house. Not everybody in the town needs an 1,800 square foot house. I don't even really need the 1,800 square foot house. It could be smaller. There's only 2 of us here. Leaf Bark says this is by design. They want everyone paying rent or mortgage. Tech Leopard said some of it started from a decent place. For example, square footage thing. Yeah, they're going to get more taxes out of you for that. Assuming the additional square footage is enough to dominate your homestead or domicile exemption if you have a right to one. However, the square footage requirement came about because a bunch of cookie cutter developers says, why don't we sell 20 homes from this 15-acre lot for $200,000 a pop, and we could sell 75 homes for $160,000 a pop. Well, I don't think that's very reasonable. I'm predicting we'll see a similar situation happen with the new Affordable Housing Act that just passed. One part of the law removes requirements for manufactured homes to be built on a permanent steel frame, which is what makes them mobile. Removing the steel frame would drastically reduce the cost of mobile homes and allow them to be set on concrete pads. I mean, it doesn't make sense for manufactured homes to be on a permanent steel frame. That is crazy. That's great for impoverished people needing a home under one rural acre. My dad owns property that he rents and has pads for mobile homes. You don't need a permanent steel frame. That's crazy. That's a gold mine for a developer about to plop 40 concrete pads down on 4 acres and create a trailer park that won't be classified as a trailer park because permanent foundations. And a lot of people are going to die because homes that can't withstand 90-mile-an-hour straight wind. I mean, that's why tornadoes love trailer parks. A vault technician says, so what you're saying is that the basic human need for shelter is frequently exploited by bad actors, so the government regulates itself in a convoluted mess that only impacts the average citizen. Lobo Quattro says, what do you do what you want, make them actually enforce it. Organic education says enforce it means fine, so of course they will enforce it to get their money. I don't think you need 1,800 square feet. That's insane. Successful Trick says if I had 100 acres, I wouldn't have told them crap. Get well water, put it in a sewage tank, get a horde of solar panels, wing the city, you don't need them. Important Feed says insurance bro, especially in Cal, need fire insurance, worth the hassle. There's insurance. Cali fire insurance in a place like that is 10% of the construction costs, especially betting that your house will burn every 10 years. I mean, in California, it might. Next is, am I the jerk and is entitled AITJ for not going to my sister's wedding because I didn't want to shave my beard? No. You should not have to shave your beard for her wedding. Long story short, I, 22 male, have a sister getting married. She told me a couple of months before I had to shave my beard. I have a really nice, luscious beard and long hair. I really like the look, and I kind of look like a Greek philosopher. My sister told me in private I had to shave it if I wanted to attend her wedding. Okay, so I'm not going to your wedding. That's simple. I told her I'm not doing it. Some arguing ensued, but I kept my ground and we kind of just moved on. On the day of the wedding, me, my dad, and brothers came. My brothers can't grow facial hair. My dad is clean shaven. We sit down when my sister and her husband take me to the side and tell me I'm not welcome with my beard. I told them I'm not shaving it, and her husband then asked me to leave. Why is the husband in on this? Why? This is stupid. Which I did. I went to grab my stuff to leave. When my dad asked what was going on, I told him I got sent away because of my beard. My dad went to my sister's husband and asked if it was true. My dad started making a scene and told me and my brothers to leave, as well as my mom. My family is Afghan, and it's a really big deal if a guest, me, is showing disrespect or no hospitality. My dad has 10. He has 10 brothers and 2 sisters. He also told them what happened, some chain reaction happened where my dad and my mom's whole family left. Good for them. That was a ridiculous request, and good for them for standing up for you. I love it. I'm not kidding. Over the half the wedding actually left. My sister started crying and her wedding got ruined. Consequences. These are the consequences of your actions. This thing needs to go on. Oh, no consequences. It's been 2 days and things are still very hostile. I just came back from Sweden, so I've been kind of out of the loop as to what was happening beforehand. Not gonna lie. I just been going to training with my brother since I can't do much else. So I've been going to wrestling, judo, and kickboxing to kind of feel regular again, since our training is our main distraction. So AITJ. And my sister doesn't like me embracing Afghan culture and heritage because it's the treatment of women. Also, it's a strong emphasis on its warrior culture and always kind of disgusted her and look like you're a stereotypical Afghan. So, I'm seriously, has she been to America lately? Say, oh, look, Afghanistan, if that's the case. Euphoric Planner says, why does your sister care about the beard? I don't get it. And then he says he's held on to a lot of his Afghan heritage, which he kind of hates. I mean, I understand that, but that's not a reason to kick your brother out of a wedding. People can have differences. Garcia Kid says, my sister pulled the same thing with me when I was 14. Made me cut my hair. She isn't even married to the dude anymore. People who place regulations on you are just being manipulative, power tripping. That's true. Well, I mean, she didn't want you at the wedding, so nobody else goes either. They've made their choices on who was right in that situation. Striking Girl says, it doesn't matter where, who, or why. Other people have no business demanding how you cut your hair or your beard. Exactly. I'm not a fan of beards. I'm not a fan of facial hair in general. My husband has always had a mustache. I'm not going to tell him to shave a mustache because I don't like it. He likes he says, the scruffy look. I don't like it, but it's fine. If he wants it that way, I don't tell him how to. He doesn't tell me how to do my hair. I don't tell him how to do his. Nobody but my shadow red answers. Either is an enormous ass since yours is long. Added, reminds me of another post. OP had waist-length pink and purple hair, ombre hair. She had agreed to be maid of honor for her future stepmother. Pretty much last minute, the bride decided that OP would stand out too much and demanded that she dye her hair either her natural brown or chestnut. OP understood and declined and bowed out of being the maid of honor, which upset the bride because she had already told her friend that her future stepdaughter was a maid of honor. Dad stepped in and thought offering to pay to re-dye the hair was enough, but OP was not willing to accept damage that all this would cause her hair. That could take years to repair. The warden Venom answers, WTF, one of my sisters asked me to be her maid of honor when she got married, and at the time my hair was dyed a deep emerald green. She encouraged me to re-dye it as it was fading as the wedding was approaching, so I did. She never once felt like I was taking too much attention from her or whatever. She just wanted me to be happy and comfortable for a big day. That's a whole different situation. Hey, re-dye your hair that emerald green color. It's different than dye your hair brown because I don't like your emerald green color. Positive Ed said, Sister learned the valuable lesson that our actions and choices come with consequences. Kind of drunk right now answers, she picked her battle and lost, and now she'll cry about being the victim. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Ridiculous. Next, we have expectation versus reality. And this could be bad. I was looking for a dress for a romanticy convention I'm part of and saw this dress online. And I decided to make it custom fit my figure since I didn't have my size. Okay, it's really pretty. I love it. I love this dress. I don't wear dresses, but this is beautiful. I would wear this dress. This dress is gorgeous. I love it. I'm not a dress wearer at all. Oh, she did really good. Look at that. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Congratulations, OP. You done good, kid. You done good. I took a chance because the dress itself is only $140 with its mud layers and fabric. That's a steal. I didn't know what to expect. Well, wow, I felt fantastic in this dress. I love how I look and will wear this everywhere. Grocery store, mall, indoor mall, I don't care. I just want to look this good all the time. I love this dress. It gives Akator vibes. I don't know what Akotar. I don't know what that is. I'm not afraid to look things up though. So I looked up Akatar, and it's A Court of Thorns and Roses, which is a book I'm reading right now. Apparently it's getting banned because it's explicit. It's not that even that explicit. It's not that explicit. They just had the first, sex scene. It's not that explicit. Oh, now I know what to call the Akatar. It gives Akatar vibes. It does. It's beautiful. I love it. I absolutely love it. Please give love to the photographer if you can. She is why this photograph is so magical. Studio Cal, KAL, photography on Instagram. Thank you for the love that's made my entire month. I'm grateful for all the comments. I'm trying to get through all of them, but there are so many. I'm opening even so I don't comment. Love that. Top rated comment is from Kitsune. It says, I need to know where you got this for future reference if I need an amazing dress. Opie says it's from a website called Val, Veaul. They have magical ball gowns for under $200, and if they don't have your size, they can custom make it. That's awesome. I love it. Do you want to see more pictures? Would you like to see more pictures of the dress? Because I have more pictures of the dress. You can even put in your measurements and get a custom dress. Sorry, I'm linked out there for a minute reading that. Only in a prom dress, it would be a beautiful prom dress. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful dress. It does go up to 18 or size 14 US, which I would have to have it custom made. And I might try that. It's absolutely gorgeous. I'm going to have to bookmark this place for sure. They even have a shopping list. Apparently, I have a shopping list thing on my Google, and I didn't even know it. Opie says, thank you. I didn't know I could post the actual link subreddit. Subreddits don't like it. Check Trustpilot before They have scale of 2.1. Also, put that in the shopping list. Trustpilot. To get it custom made. Somebody's complaining that it doesn't fit. So get it custom made. Mon Crosby says, I was really expecting the worst. You won the jackpot here. Literary T says, thank you. I agree. I couldn't believe the quality for the price. Someone else said, or aliens abduct me, please, says you look stunning. She does. True statement. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, turn on your notifications, join me, please, live. That's how you're going to build this community. You gotta be here live and listen to me for hours. You don't have to. Just check in for half an hour once a day on the days I'm here. Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. It's not that hard. Next, we have Zillow Gone Wild, entitled Step Inside the Garden Gate and Step Back in Time. This looks like a beautiful house. This is in Portland, Oregon. And I'm probably pronouncing Oregon wrong. And I don't care because they're picky. They can't pronounce my hometown, or my name, so I don't care. All right, here we go. That's very nice. I like it. The little barn. Hoping the one will catch on fire because the other one's going to go too. A little too close. A little too close to have the barn next to like that, but it's okay. Oh, nice. You're in a neighborhood and yet not. I like that. It's very lovely. Well, I like it. It's nice. It's a nice fireplace. I love that bay windowish thing. It's not a bay window. I would put something over there to lounge on. A lounger over there. Yeah, fireplace, a little weird color. It didn't look that color in the other two pictures. I would put that black I would put it black. I wish they hadn't painted the fireplace brick. Although we've done that ourselves. We've got to find a way to, fix fireplace brick. Kitchen has a terrible triangle. That is awful. Something needs to move. Why is the stove way over there? It's weird. I would need to switch something around. Revamp. You'd have to go revamp the kitchen. That's a cute little fireplace. I don't like how they painted all the woodwork. Woodwork should be wood, not painted. And this is probably really nice wood under there. It looks like an older home. That's lovely. As your little kitchen nook. Bathroom's fine. I don't mind that at all. I'm not a big fan of wainscoting, but that's not terrible. It's not the worst. I don't like the kitchen color. I don't like it for a kitchen. Someplace else maybe, but not for a kitchen. And not that much. It's too bright. Too bright for me. Your mileage, it's okay. It's not your house, not my house. Oh, look at the little shed. It's so cute. The barn's cute. Oh, I love that porch. I need a rocking chair for my porch. Although I can't use it in the evening. It's too hot out there in the evening. in the summer evening. Why are there numbers above the doors? That's weird. I don't like that at all. I love that bed. I don't need to keep the bed. I kind of don't like this because you can't move the bed anywhere else. And it's like at one place, and then you can't decide how you want to arrange your room. Like, I get it. My room's the same way, but does every room have to be like that? That's neat. The lights are kind of weird, but that's okay. Is this where they're watching TV, I gather? Or is that just a picture? Why are they staring at pictures like that? Oh my. Yeah, it's that same green color. That mint green, I'm not a fan. Not a fan of that color. It's not even the same green as the shower. The shower's much darker green. Maybe if it matched the shower and this thing, this has the correct color, they could get that color matched. And it would be way better. But I hate that they painted the woodwork. There's an upstairs attic one. This is not as bad as a lot of them. Although I don't like that. You couldn't put that in the middle like you did all the other ones. Seriously. Seriously. Got a mat on that. It's not a bad room. It's just, I don't like that part of it. Oh, that must be in the barn. This is a basement, or is this in the barn? We have the same issue in this. Where's the stove? Next to the refrigerator. I don't like that at all. Plus, you don't even have access to your sink. That's terrible design. Terrible, terrible design. Yeah, that bedroom's better. Too much of that ugly mint green. I'm starting to hate it, actually. I mean, it can be repainted, but can you take it back to the original woodwork? Why do we have 2 clocks in here? Do we need to know the time that much? Storeroom. You have to know that that's a storeroom. What are you storing in here? That does not look like a storeroom. Why do we have a urinal? That's weird. That's so weird. Take that out. Go away. No. That blue is a bit bright too. This is another kitchen? What the actual? Who needs 3 kitchens? It's for your Airbnb. Because we don't need it for an Airbnb. I put my kids in that house. This one almost has a triangle. Why do they always insist on having their refrigerator next to their stove with nothing in between to put stuff on? At least mine has a little shelf in between to put stuff on. And I'm not a fan of mine. That looks uncomfortable as heck. How do you even find a toilet like that? It's so weird. It's so weird. Are you interested in? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. That was a weird one. 6 beds, 4 baths, 3,800 square feet. Built in 1902. And it's over a half an acre lot, which is nice. Carl Larson inspired Victorian farmhouse. In 1902, that woodwork's got to be gorgeous underneath there. Was it hardwood floors, stained glass windows? Yeah, but you painted over every bit of woodwork. I hate it. I hate it so much. It would have this. How much is this? $2,375,000. No. There's too much work to redo that woodwork. Oh my goodness. Features, kitchen features, built-in features, exterior entry, fireplace, hardwood floors, kitchen dining room combo and nook, pantry, freestanding range, freestanding refrigerator. There's no dining area that I saw. Not even in the main house. Has 3 fireplace, which makes sense if it's built in 1902. Does that have central air? Does not say anything about central air, guys. Annual tax amount is $10,585. That's a lot. That's a lot of property tax. They only have a property tax up to 2019. Why? Their breakdown says the property. I do not know. I mean, on the surface, yeah, but PRS says it's adorable. I like the brilliant idea of using kitchen cabinetry as bedroom built-ins. I've seen variation on this theme, and not so grand while executed. Blue JPEG says in Europe, apartment bedrooms usually have one or more walls completely dedicated to built-in cabinets, floor to ceiling, and meter deep, a place for everything and everything in its place. DRH says green is my favorite color, and I would love this house. The garden alone is a dream. Yeah, I'm not. I mean, good, you buy it. I really hope it's purchased by someone who's going to appreciate it, not attempt to update it. Sex, Drugs, and Skittles says, this is 100% going to end up in an Airbnb. Exactly, because they have three freaking kitchens. Somebody says already an Airbnb. If it's short-term rentals, all the storage space a bit superfluous. Sorry, took a long time to get that out. Perfect cottagecore dream, says Mother Raven. Hey, there's a Muhammad feet stand on it. Stunning, no notes. I have a note. I hate that they butchered the woodwork. Next is signs with a story. I'm not going to show it because it has weapons. You're expertly checking the heft and balance of decorative replicas of cartoon swords, so just stop. Signs of the story says just stop. Kinky Latex Cat says, this picture is getting recycled again. Ultimately, if I'm buying something like that, I want to hold it, see the way it feels as well as that it looks like. Lord knows people buying it are going to be swinging all around silly when they get home. Various thoughts says, I'm a bit of a sword guy. I wouldn't buy a lot of replica anime swords, but if I did I'm definitely filling it out to make sure it won't fall off my wall and bisect my cat. This is the kind of sword that gets people hurt because they think they can swing it around, and when it inevitably breaks, they end up launching a blade through the air. Yeah, that does not sound like a good time. Next is Server Life, and it is entitled, Stop by a table to chat with an older woman sitting alone, and she blessed me. Dear, oh, really? She has her name as her username, and then she blacked out her name. Weird. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me for a few minutes. I just wanted you to know that I see you and wish you much peace with affection. Last week I was opening up the dining room for dinner. We had a lady from lunch who was already paid out, but sitting in my section. I went to clear something from her table, and we got chatting for a few minutes. As you should. I could tell from her face that she wanted someone to talk to, and although the conversation was fairly normal, tears welled up in her eyes. She asked me how I was doing. I said I was a little tired from starting a second job this week, but excited. She said she loved coming into this restaurant and had never seen me before. Then we exchanged names. I held her hand for a few seconds, and that was it. She left and came back and handed me an envelope with $1,000 in it. I have no idea of anything in her life story. Maybe she's lonely and just needed to talk to someone, and it felt really good giving someone else a blessing. I cried for her that night, and I felt so guilty, like I didn't deserve this. But the lesson I walked away with is that I'm doing the right thing at work. Talk to people. I work in hospitality. It's our job to make people feel welcomed and cared for and seen. A lot of us are in it for the money, but that's bigger than that. Some of people are just in it for the money and they don't care. Lizzie says the etymology of the word restaurant is to restore. That's how I look at it. It's our job to help restore people from this chaotic and sometimes ugly world. For some people, a restaurant might be the only place where they feel heard and seen and taken care of. Can restore here on BBB. Now currency, the second type right comment says, beautiful, you're both the angel the other person needed that day. That's true. Okay, Sunsex says her handwriting is so aesthetic. Competitive Rub says, my grandmother writes like this. I think it's just generational. I had fancier handwriting. Yeah, those women worked hard on that handwriting, let me tell you. Next's confession is entitled, I only work 2 or 3 hours per week at my full-time job. Well, okay, I've had jobs like that. I've been in marketing for almost 12 years now. I simply don't care to put in any effort anymore. I've been at the same company for 3 years and they pay me okay money. I could always use more money, but I constantly contemplate if it's even worth it to leave because of how easy my job is right now. I work full-time and make about $75,000, basically doing nothing and working probably a total of 3 hours out of the 40 hours a week. Why couldn't I have done that job? I schedule some social media posts, recycle email marketing campaigns that we've used for the past few years, replying to a couple of emails a week, used AI to come up with new strategies, and basically scroll on Reddit / my phone for several hours a day. My boss is incredibly hands-off, and I'm able to hit my KPIs doing the absolute bare minimum. I get very generously PTO policy, and I probably take 2+ hour lunches every day where I just run errands that I need to get done for my personal life, which is quite honestly my priority. Work smarter, not harder. I'm telling you, she got it going on. I do not care to climb the corporate ladder anymore. All I want is to be able to live comfortably while working the least amount possible. Have been in the industry for almost 10 years. I should probably be making significantly more money, but I don't want to leave for another job because I fear that the new job will require me to actually work. That's a good point. I have performance review every year, and this past year was probably the least I've ever worked. I still got outstanding performance appraisals across the board from my team and my boss. To me, working is not a priority in life at all. It shouldn't be for anyone, to be honest, unless you really, really like to work. Some people are like that. As long as I pay my bills and live my life comfortably and be able to do the things I want, I don't care what my job is. I really don't care what they pay me as long as I can survive. To be honest, I now view work as a complete and utter distraction to my actual life. It is very inconvenient that I have to go sit in an office 5 days a week for 40 hours. 5 days a week for 40 hours. I honestly do not know or understand how people who actually work for 40 hours a week get anything done they need in their life done. They don't. There's simply not enough time in the day or the week to do any of my personal things, like grocery shopping, spending time with my partner, scheduling and going to appointments, working out, and hanging out with friends. If I was not able to get a bulk of my personal things done during the work week, my entire life after work would be just doing things I have to do rather than spending things I want to do. She's not wrong. Noelle Karen says, this is a kind of the dream. I don't think you need to confess anything. You hit your KPIs, you got great reviews, the system is working as designed. Exactly. Miss Independent says, like, I had a job like this eons ago, even got bonuses all the time. I read a lot of those non-working hours. It was wonderful. I miss that to some extent. Weave says, anything in home office, you actually get very good at your job and make your boss happy. You also get very efficient at your job. So you save a lot of time. And since everybody's happy with your performance, you don't and don't see you having all the free time you can do what OP does. Yeah, some people are too busy in their employees' lives. I did have a job kind of like that. I mean, I probably worked more than 5. I probably worked an hour to a day, so 10 hours a week. Really work. But it was a boring job. It was my last job. The one before that, they wanted you busy all the time, and it was ridiculous. Like, I can't take some downtime once in a while. Oh, shoot. I shared it before I read it. I shared it before I read it. I should not have done that. Sorry, guys. This is interesting as weighing. Man buys in-flight Wi-Fi to stream Argentina-Egypt World Cup match. Okay, that could be interesting. Let's go back. This could be very exciting, guys. I'm streaming for the whole family, a whole plane. That's cute. That's adorable. I love it. That's a very small plane. Why doesn't nobody seem irritated by it? I wouldn't be irritated by that. I don't give a wang about the World Cup at all. I don't think I didn't watch any of it. Not even by accident. You know how you watch things by accident? You go to a restaurant and they're playing it. I didn't watch any of it, not even by accident. My son's a big soccer fan, and he keeps me updated on what's going on. But anyway, that would not bother me at all. People were doing that. I realize it's a big thing for some people. JVM says sharing with the bros a real cheeky move. I would give him $5. Honestly, give him a couple bucks. 11 tears and 2's arms are not paralyzed. Action Kid says easy. Take turns holding it up between the young guys. Yeah, the old guys could participate in that. Elmer Salito says my laptop streaming on battery would have died in the first half. Mine wouldn't have. Plus, that's what batteries are for. Next is Am I the A-hole? Entitled AITA for offering a frozen dinner to an uninvited guest at a dinner party. A couple of times a year, I like to throw a nice dinner party for old friends. This time, I invited 5 people. 2 were couples and 1 was single. We have all known each other for around 15 years and get together maybe every 3 months. I have friends like that. We don't get together that often. We should, because we're all retired now, except for my husband and maybe one of his other friends, but they're flexible. We should get together more often. I gotta talk to somebody about that. I was making filet mignon and a small lobster tail with 2 sides. I spent over $300 and didn't buy extra because they were served one each per guest and are expensive. To my surprise, a single guest brought along his new girlfriend who I had not met or known about. I was nice about it, but it upset me because I only purchased enough meat and lobster tail for the guests who were invited. I talked to the friend who brought the uninvited guests and said I didn't have extra food, and the filet mignon cooked to individual doneness and lobster tail isn't something that can be cut up and divided or spread out between more people. And I said that I had frozen pizza or another frozen dinner I could eat up. He was very upset with me and accused me of not liking his new girlfriend and trying to embarrass him. Dude, don't bring people. All you had to do is tell her you were bringing somebody else. She could have bought another filet mignon and lobster tail. And OP, you could have just said, do you want ask the girlfriend, do you want the lobster or the filet mignon? Because you're going to have to split. After his outburst, they left. Was I wrong? Should I have cut up the filet lobster tails and spread them out between an extra guest person instead of offering a frozen meal? Edit, I didn't think of sliding their plates at the time. I have ADHD and I also have some issues, changes in plans and multitasking. Girl, I feel you. Anyway, another friend messaged tonight that the friend that brought the uninvited girlfriend had been arguing with her before the dinner. So that's the reason he was upset and quick to leave. Wasn't even about her, really. That little plum says, NTA, obviously, you're being gracious as a host can be, and your friend was being selfish and dumb. I bet his girlfriend was not exactly impressed with his behavior. Question of balance says the friend could have offered up his lobster tail or mignon to his girlfriend. Exactly. Cookie Monster says that's the best answer. I notice he didn't suggest giving up his share or sharing his steak for his guest. Exactly. Like, no. Somebody said you wanted OP to give up theirs. No, I'm not giving up my food because you're dumb. Sorry. Who brings a girlfriend uninvited to anything? Like, who does that? Who brings anybody uninvited without a heads up? Like, I know you didn't invite this person, but heads up, I'm bringing somebody with me. It's not that hard. Zika says, NTA, who the heck brings an extra person to a dinner party without notifying the host beforehand? Busy Shoe says somebody who doesn't cook. Somebody who's rude, that's who does it. Probably just reheats and assembles food and doesn't know how it goes into real cooking. OP was not the a-hole. Her ex-friend was. It's unacceptable. Unacceptably rude to bring another person to a full sit-down dinner when you aren't hosting and contributing to the cost and labor. Exactly. Hungry Bra says, a gentleman who would have eaten a frozen dinner let his uninvited guest have his meal. NTA for you, but boyfriend looks bad. Yeah, the boyfriend looks really bad. The ex-friend looks really bad. Next is from I Don't Work Here Lady, entitled, The Time a Woman Barged into My Apartment Thinking It Was the Beauticians and Got Aggressive. Yikes. Not completely sure if this post fits the subreddit, but here we go. I live in an apartment complex, and on the floor above me lives a beautician who practices from her own home. Thinking about it, I don't know if they're certified or not. Probably not, because that would not, an apartment building, that would not fly. Because for a salon, and I know this from experience, you have to get your salon certified. And they're not certifying houses and definitely not apartments. My daughter has a salon in their house, and they had to put up the whole salon thing to get certified. It is in their house, but it's a separate room. It has to have a bathroom, and it has to have a wash and dryer on the same floor so that you can wash and dry your towels and stuff. However, this is not relevant to the events which transpired. It took place 3 years ago as I'm coming home from my then summer job, which is a whole tale in itself. My family was out shopping, so I had my own keys with me. I was opening the door before I could hear someone walking up the stairs while talking. I walked inside, placed down the keys, and turned to close the door, only to find the woman from the stairs making her way inside, still loudly talking on the phone. She was probably around 35-ish years of age, short, stocky, had brown hair bunched up in a short ponytail, sort of wore a tank top and tight jeans and sandals. She strictly spoke in the local dialect. The people who do that are considered white trash of sorts. Well, that's rude. That's very rude. Just because you speak in a local dialect doesn't make you white trash. That's just rude. Another thing which caught my eye were the huge earring pendants. Okay, and I kind of stood there for a couple of seconds, unable to compute. A random stranger just walking into my house like they belong. It was not something I was expecting. Then it hit me. She was probably here to see the beautician for the first time, mistakenly got the wrong floor. So I politely attempted to call her attention. She ignored me, still on the phone. So I tried again, still polite. She gave me an annoyed look and nothing else. I was still talking on the phone. She then started approaching the living room sofa, the room being attached to the entrance. I tried to call her attention one final time, and this time a little more firm, because I don't want a stranger's ass on my sofa, replying, and I quote, to the phone, hold on, to me. Can you winging? See, I'm on the phone. Where are your winging manners? I'm winging, talking to your winging. Wait until I'm done winging the winging call. Here I start to get a little angry. The winging beautician is winging upstairs. Then she better winging come down because I'm already here now. Looking back at The last remark likely meant she misinterpreted what I said and still assumed she was in the right apartment. I would have asked her who she was. I'm sorry, who are you? And why are you in my apartment? Make her explain to you why she's there. Although the beautician was away. However, I was very fed up and tired with that home invasion. So instead of connecting the dots and trying to clarify further, I decided the best course of nature was instead to just throw her out. That's fine. I grabbed her arm with one hand, the back of her neck with the other, and dragged her to the stairs. All the while, she screeched orders to stop touching her and let her go. Once I again shouted out that she wanted to be on the floor above mine, and slammed the door closed. Who I find around the door 10 minutes later was thankfully not a not furious husband trying to get in to break my spine, but two policemen who she called on me. They told me she was accusing me of assaulting her, so I told my side of the story. She was in my house without my consent, so I trespassed and removed her from the private property, all while being a gentleman and not even throwing so much as a slap, but I knew better than to say this last part. After ascertaining that she didn't even have a bruise, they decided to believe me. Her hysterical bitching likely didn't help her case either. They berated her and asked me if I wished to press charges. I really wanted to be done with that headache, and if I want to go forward with it, I would have to come to them to the police station, so I refused and let it go. That's the best course of action. She didn't do anything too egregious. She didn't like steal from you or anything. I had my car stolen once. We didn't press charges because it was an accident. After that episode, I spotted her coming and going a few times. We just stared daggers at each other, but nothing else ever came for it. At first, I was paranoid she'd get me back in some way. That wasn't the case. Parker Allen says the insensitive entitlement arrogance is strong with that one, for sure. Somebody said press charges on people. Press charges on them. That's not going to do anything to get people in trouble. Just because she's an idiot doesn't mean she needs to be in jail. Island Cat says instead of directing her out, I would have stood in front of her while I dialed 911 and louder reported an intruder in my home. But then a small older woman with bodily hustling someone out of my home. It isn't happening. Dripping Snarkasm says no beauty could fix that amount of ugly. Beauty's only skin deep, ugly goes to the bone, says Genghis. That's true. Overheard astrophysicist and a car detailer. Old man, what are you studying? 20-something old man. I'm an astrophysicist PhD candidate. Good for you. Old man, maybe you'll work for Elon Musk someday. 20-year-old something man looking offended. Elon Musk is a businessman who owns some companies. I am a scientist, sir. I added the sir. One island says, it's a common problem. You say, I'm studying cosmology, and people hear I'm studying cosmetology. Or you say, I'm an astronomer, and people say you're an astrologer and want to know their horoscope. Adorable passes. I knew someone who was working at Starbucks while studying to be a barrister. Barrister is another word for attorney. It's not a barista. Fuzzy Mozapan says, I love that response. Did you find out where he goes to school? My son wants to be an astrophysicist. He's 8. OP says Penn State. Slicer says Quaker Ivy, and so tired, Mama says you're thinking of University of Pennsylvania. I have that issue in Michigan too. Dingle Dangle says I always ask my astrophysicist friend my horoscope just to piss him off. Tear off my chest. I don't understand how anybody can work 9 to 5 and not want to die. Depends on how you like your job. So there is a content warning for self-harm, etc. Self-harm and deleting yourself from continuing to live. Genuinely, it's soul-crushing. I have to go to work. I go to work, come back, have a panic attack, and break down, and then go to sleep and do that all over again. I'm not joking. I have to do this for the rest of my life. I'd rather die. I cannot do this. Having outside hobbies or whatever else is not enough. I don't even have motivation to go do anything outside of work because I hate it so much. I just want to die every day. I don't know how people are okay living this way and more aren't dying. Because some people like their job and some people aren't as depressed as you, and you need to be some help, sweetie. The he who says, I used to, now I work 10.5 hours shifts for 5 days, then off for 5 days, and it's much better. Shock says, same. Resident Purpose says, you need a different job. I have a job I enjoy and could easily see myself doing for the next 30 years. You need to find a job doing something you enjoy. He says, that's not going to happen. I try, nobody wants to hire me, so it's death. That's very self-fatalistic. Try. Keep trying. Keep trying. It'll be fine. Next, I have in-laws. Myself thinks everything we own is hers. My sister-in-law and her husband constantly steal small, or they think unnoticeable things from my house. Okay, don't have them over. So we don't live in a big house, nor are we well off, but every time they come over for family dinner, every 3 months or so, something is missing. Stop having family dinner at your house. Usually it's something very small, like a tea candle or a small fork. Months ago, they took our DVD collection of every James Bond movie. It was original $90. So while not the most expensive thing, it was something we missed, especially since the night they took it, we told them how much we were looking forward to watching all the movies. We confronted them and my parents-in-law, aka Pill, a week later when we confirmed that we hadn't misplaced it. Everyone denied it. My Mill mentioned a couple days later she saw Sil put it in her car. We asked for it back because we wanted to watch it. They couldn't find it. We did this 3 separate times over the course of 6 months, and they couldn't find it. Pill eventually asked Sil and husband about it, and they gave it up right away. We had recently bought it, and they stole it. It came back with black footprints on the outer box and scratches on half the discs. That's terrible. They should have to rebuy it for you. Then they can have the scratched up ones. She's the only Sil I have, but I'd rather not have her in my house again if she and her husband will keep stealing from us. Maybe it'll be another tea candle. Maybe it'll be something bigger. Does anyone else have a klepto-in-law they have to keep in check? I would check them. Check them humiliate them. Check them as they leave the house every time they come over. They'll be almost as good as not having them come over. Southern Interest says, do not invite them back over. They got 11 awards. Bunster says, simple solution, not let them in the house. Wearing Shade says, family events can be at their house, Pills, a park, or restaurant. If pressed for why things disappear from our house, not just a movie set, and we only want to welcome into our house people we don't have to be concerned about taking our stuff without permission. I don't think you need them without permission. People's taking our stuff. Frosty Pie is the second top rated comment. They say arrange all future meetups at parents' place. They can lose their crap as a condition of having family nights. Exactly. Patriotic Redhead says, I was impressed that Mill gave up her daughter. Possible thing says she knew her daughter was in the wrong for stealing and suggests future meetups at restaurants or local parks if they can't be at sister-in-law's house. Cali Pirate says, sounds like no contact with Klepto's sister-in-law. When they complain, make sure to remind them why. Jojo the Buffalo says, when they ask why, just say 007. This is what do I do? It's entitled Spilled Mercury. My sister broke a pressure meter. I don't know what it's called. The mercury spilled out. How do I clean it? This is what Google is for, girl. Brilliant Just Shoveled is the top-rated comment. They say, Chem Lab manager here. If this happened in my home, I'd open all the windows, put gloves on before I did anything. If you don't have them, go to the hardware store. Goggles would be good to wear as well. Then get an eyedropper and suck up the mercury. You can put it in a small bottle, even a pill bottle, label it, tape it closed. Your town probably has household hazardous waste days. Contact them. Do not put it in the garbage. 100% don't put it in the garbage. Wade says, I work in HVAC, and I'm literally bedridden right now because old mercury thermostat broke in my hands. And even though none spilled out, the vapors are putting me on my ass. Massive brain fog and constant tremors. Mercury is no joke. Oh, wow, that sounds terrible. Random Moncito says, I have a friend that drank a bottle of mercury in his teens on purpose. Was taken to the hospital and died. Said it was the most psychedelic experience of his life, and he's no rookie. Doctors turning to insects diagnosed him. Talking to things he saw and felt, doctors told him he would feel repercussions in his late 40s, and he's 50s, getting more loony each year, but he's somewhat okay. Edit, after so many people saying elemental mercury is not hazardous to swallow, I need to add this. While swallowing it rarely causes encephalopathy. If you swallow liquid elemental mercury, such as from a broken oral thermometer, your gastrointestinal tract is unable to absorb it effectively. It is a its bioavailability. I don't know why I can't read this. Bioavailability through digestion is less than 0.1%. 0.01%. It typically passes straight through your stool without entering the bloodstream or reaching the brain. Encephalopathy from ingestion only occurs in incredibly rare instances where the mercury becomes trapped in a pocket of the digestive tract, like the appendix, or over a prolonged period. I gave my friend the post link. He may join right to his side. Why would you swallow mercury? That's weird. Angle Graphic says, this isn't a lot of mercury. Put on some nitrile gloves, get an eyedropper and a glass container. Suck up the mercury with the eyedropper and dump it into the glass container. Get some sulfur powder of some kind, usually can be found in garden centers as soil acidifier. Just make sure it has sulfur in it. Put the sulfur powder on the area where the mercury was, and also put the glass in the glass with the mercury. Sulfur neutralizes it, or whatever the correct term is, I forget. Basically, chemically bonds to it to create a much less dangerous compound. People telling you to call the fire department or poison control, meanwhile, this is kind of overreacting. This amount of mercury is so minimal. If it were incredibly dangerous, they would never put in thermometers in glass that can break. Yes. Red Browser says, I'm a chemistry professor. This should be the top answer. Sulfur reacts to form a stable compound that does not produce vapors like the liquid elemental form, and is so much safer. Obviously, don't let it get into your food or something. In fact, it forms cinnabar, which is the form found in nature. In the old days, people would put cinnabar over a very hot fire and then collect the mercury vapor by cooling it on a big stack of green leaves. Yikes. Too says, answers, damn, one of those times in life where you learn a new word and then see it again immediately. I learned what cinnabar was yesterday from an Instagram reel of vintage jewelry that was apparently made from it. Don't remember ever seeing or hearing that word before, and now here it is again. Oh, I do have a funny WB story. So, the day before WB's birthday, we all went to an auction together, and he was playing. They had a collection of John Deere tractors, toys, and other little models. He likes the models that the doors open. He's 3. So I was sitting there talking to his mom, and I said, he told us on Monday that he didn't want any more tractors. He had enough tractors, so he didn't want any more tractors. So I told her I bought Trace and tractor adjacent things. Like we got him a little truck with a trailer with a cow hauler trailer and a construction toy, a nice construction toy. These are metal, by the way, metal toys. Got him another truck or something too, I think. So anyway, now every time he wants those toys, he asks for his tractor adjacent toys. He says, she sent me a video. I'm not going to show it because he's in the shower. He says, I want the orange truck that's tractor adjacent. I want the tractor adjacent orange truck, Mom. So dang cute. she says, you shouldn't have told him that. I said, I wasn't telling him that. I was telling you that. You just overheard it. I wasn't even talking to him. I was talking to you when I said that. Oh, it's hysterical. He's so funny. He is so un un unintentionally funny. It's so funny. Never use a vacuum cleaner. Never use a broom. Never pour mercury down the drain. Never walk around if your shoes might be contaminated with mercury. It's from the EPA website, not AI. And then they give the EPA what to do if mercury thermometer breaks. Wear gloves, protection, dispose of it correctly. It's dangerous, but you will be fine. Basic precautions. Open the windows for airflow. Potato says, dang, I didn't realize how dangerous mercury was until now. When I was a kid, I used to play with it using my bare hands and breaking it into smaller droplets and then combining them. My mother used to work in a gold mine, so we had access to mercury back then. Surprisingly, I'm still fine to this day. Somebody else said they did the same thing. Kevin Eater says you might want to look into early detection of side effects, especially if you grew up around a mine. She says she's well and healthy, didn't grow up around mines, so. Oh. Next, we have entitled parents, and it is entitled, My Mom Believes She Owns Me and My Body. I'm a legal adult, by the way. People like this drive me insane. Like, your kid is your kid, but they don't belong to you, they belong to their own selves. For context, this has been a thing since I was a kid, usually followed with the excuse of me being a miracle or rainbow baby and my mom's cancer story. And everyone enables like it's crazy. Probably, yeah, I can imagine that. That must be really hard to deal with that. I could write 400-page essay, but I'll drop the main ones as of recent. So I, 18 female, have a twin who is also 18 female. She does not do this to my twin sister. She sends to comply with my mom's BS. And my mom is convinced she gave birth to me. She owns me. No. And thus dictates my life and who I can date and what I can look like, etc. I'll be listing off instances for reference. 1, since I was a kid, I haven't been very open to touch, especially when it comes to hair, skin to skin, etc. I mean, I get that. I don't like to sit next to somebody on like a couch for very long, touching them. It irritates me. I don't know why. It just, after a while, it just feels really uncomfortable. I'm not uncomfortable with the person or anything. I'm uncomfortable. My skin is uncomfortable. Not me. It's not emotional, it's physical. My dad loved this guy, has always been respectful about it, and him and my nana, who partially raised me, were about the only people who would ask me for brushing my hair, touching me. Now, this was an insult to my mother. I had long hair, and she gave me a wing butt bob. I don't know what that means. I guess she didn't like the bob. And made me dye my hair little patches of white for my first day of kindergarten. It's out of spite because I didn't let her flat iron my hair. Also, when she tried to touch me, this still applies, and I avoided her or said no, she'd get all mad and start throwing a toddler fit, stamping feet and all, and fake wail until I caved, or she'd guilt me with the fact that I should be impossible, and I owe her. You don't owe your kids don't owe the parents anything. 2, body checking. This has started in my teen years and kinds of follows my previous one. Well, yes, for a while it is understandable she would have me remove my shirt or long sleeves as I was drawing the red on myself. However, I've been clean for 7 years now and she still does this. So she was self-harming at one point, which is also a dangerous sign. And should have had counseling. She still does this, and now it's to purify check, or remove my bra and panties for inspection. Or she looks at my downstairs because it's ugly or deformed, and makes fun of me for it because it's ugly or deformed, And then she tells me I'm lying about shaboinking. Mind you, I'm very touch avoidant because she can tell us she knows all. That is abusive. That is sexual abuse right there. And it needs to stop. 3, bigger problem as of recent, I have an ex. I don't like this ex. He wanted to protected shaboing. I like shaboing. We might start using shaboink. Shaboink. Because his brain was rotted at 16 because of watching things he shouldn't have been watching. I said no, and he locked me in the car with him. That was a whole thing. We do not like this man. However, I have a new boyfriend. He's sweet and I adore him. And yes, he talks funny and cooks weird meals sometimes, but I would marry him. My dad adores him. So you know he's a keeper. But this is a use for my mom because she wants me to be with my ex because my ex was more attractive and his besties with my sister. Okay, so your sister can marry him. It's weird. I don't think like that. I don't like it. Think. And she invites him to things or tries to get him to go out with me or drops me off at a place where he's at or makes me talk to him. It's weird for both of us. Like, no, this ex doesn't need to come to my house to do some chores I've been doing on the farm since I was 14. I know how to fix a fence and basic car maintenance. I don't need that freak to do it. There's a lot of spelling errors in this. I'm thinking that perhaps this person is not an English speaker. 4, I'm going to college in 4 minutes from the house. Oh, geez. I'm not complying. It's free and saves me money. However, this college has multiple campuses, and while I can take all my first semester classes at the nearby campus, I have to take my second semester classes at the campus in the next town over. I've been driving there since I was a kid. However, my mom does not like that and threw a fit, threatening to pull me out of college. She can't do that. If I took any classes next town over, and has even grounded me from driving to said town, so I can't be familiar, aka I can be the only one at home where she can watch me. You're 18, she can't ground you. You need to leave. 5, she gets angry. I don't shave every day, especially the bush, because I have no need. She tried to shave it for another sexual abuse thing. She tried to shave it for me while I was showering, and actually, she'll watch me in the shower and then say it's payback from when you were young and didn't leave me alone to shower. That's freaking bizarre. I'm 18. It's weird. And the last time I locked the bathroom door, she busted it down. Wow. 5 or 6. The next. We'll just go with next. Next, she throws fits randomly now that I'm 18. She'll ground me for things I bought with my money and my bank account. She's grounded me from my own bank account, taking my debit card and credit cards. Tried to sell the guitars I paid for because I wanted to go out with friends or said no to unwanted advances. Next, she also worked at every school I've gone to with the district, like elementary, middle, junior high, and high school. How do you have 4? I mean, never mind. My kids had 4. My daughter had 4. My sons didn't. My daughter did. I would interrogate random kids if I ate my lunches, and then have kids tell her if I threw it away, or she'd even stand behind me while I ate. Yes, even in high school, she did this. It was weird, and that was the reason I didn't have many friends. Poor thing. She's just been abused her whole life. Next, fills out all legal documents and forges my signature because I'm apparently too stupid to fill out medical paperwork or anything at all. She also withholds my Social Security card from me and threatens to shred it if I do anything wrong. If you're in the U.S., that doesn't matter. You don't need your Social card. As I found out recently when I thought I would need a new card. I didn't. I don't know where it is. It's somewhere in the house. Somewhere in the house with my original birth certificate, but I can't find it. It's somewhere. It's probably in a purse or something somewhere. Or it got taken, and that's how my identity got stolen. It's few years ago. She also threatens to shred it if I do anything wrong. I could go into punishments with an essay. I had to get my dad to steal it so I could sign up for college. They said from college. She really needs to work on her. How is she going to make it to college? She can't write reads unless she's not going to English. But she says Social Security card. That indicates U.S. Next, she dictates how I dress and buys me slutty clothes, basically lingerie and stripper wear, and gets mad when I won't wear along a thong. I think a thong. Oh, it's essentially a bra with sleeves, and called me a whore if I wear tight-fitting turtleneck with nice pants. That's weird. Not allowed to have any adult responsibilities or obligations because I'm too immature. Next brings up how I will have at least 2 kids when I'm married. Not if I want kids, but if I have to. And if I'm correct, I correct her. She gets all pissy about how, and talks about how I'll be unfulfilled and how I should off myself if I'm not having kids because she didn't have me to go through yada yada for me not to. Yikes. You can't have people to have kids. Oh, it's crazy. Next, forbidden to partake in male hobbies activities, male hobbies activities. So yeah, no woodworking, steam, car stuff, everything I'm good at besides crocheting and sewing pretty much. That's terrible. I'm sorry. Can we stop gendering hobbies? Next calls me woke liberal many times for expressing to doctors that I'm not mentally well. And if my main doctor, who has known me since I was a kid, asks me anything about sleep complications, nausea, headaches, or mental health, or asks my permission to run tests because I'm an adult and can consent for myself, my mom will scream at us both and say no because she pays. She has to be in the room or she'll throw a Karen fit. And she has to answer everything for me and make up lies that I'm just secretly sexually active or just lazy or faking it for attention. And it pisses me off. Next, on the topic of sexually active, if you're squeamish to forced sexual assault, call it forced sexual assault, grape, I'd look away, but I'm not going to get into detail. Yes, I have deformities down in Chattahoochee. Oh, for euphemisms. Thus, no, I can't wear tampons without pain or discomfort. I wear pads. I mean, I don't have that, and I couldn't wear tampons really well. My mom doesn't like it because that's an event to her, and I need to grow up. So I was in the bathroom making a pad out of something too, because she wouldn't buy them. When she decides I'm taking too long, crawls under the stall door to me and proceeds to forcefully insert one while restraining me. Again, sexual assault. Your mother is literally physically assaulting you. Oh my goodness. Sexually assaulting you. That would be definitely forced sexual activity in any jurisdiction. Crawls under the store. When I confronted her about it, she brought up how she owns me because she gave birth to me. She also told everyone I was sobbing in the toilet to not believe me because I'm out from under the sun. You need to go to the police, girlie. Like now. She uses me as leverage against my dad a lot, especially when I was younger, whenever he brought up divorce before Cancer 2.0. She would threaten to turn him in for some stuff he did in his 20s. He already served time that wasn't deterred him. Allegedly, she has some blackmail to prove he wasn't fit to be a father. She was recording him yelling at her during an argument. Well, that noise didn't do anything with that. I don't think it would have mattered, to be honest, given that I have some bald spots from where she used to pull me out of the house by my hair because I couldn't eat dinner because the texture was diabolical. Next, has me around creepy old guys. If I expressed discomfort, I was reprimanded because it looked poorly on her. I should respect my elders more. Sorry, I didn't want the expired version of the off-brand Joker touching me. Anyway, for the negativity, I may be off topic, but I don't want to end this post on a bad note because, yes, my mom is insane and mentally ill and probably would be a terrorist if the chance came around. My dad, despite some of his misguided decisions and mistakes, is actually a great guy. He's always tried to help me a lot, working through many of my issues I have, even if I was an absolute nightmare for some days. He'd never get mad or yell or hit me. He's anti-violence unless necessary. And yes, my mom tries to isolate him as much as she does me. But his friends are all awesome and cool, to be honest, as much as parents to me as he is. And just so you know how cool the guy is, as many times he has taken in either a relative or a friend of mine, and even a stranger who was struggling to give them a place to stay and recoup as long as they needed, and always provided the best help. Many of those people are like my siblings, and recently he's been working on finding me and my boyfriend a place to stay, whether being buying a cheap house or apartment for us to stay in, because both of our moms are psycho. But yeah, no, I'm 18 as currently my mom allegedly owns me and my body and can do what she likes. If I had video photo proof, it's probably out there in our texts. I'd 100% get a restraining order. I will once I move out. Yikes. No, you should report her. You should report her. So top rated comment is Raid, and they recount, quote, a lot of the stuff she says about the bank account and stuff. She says, that is theft, girl. Police might want to help. Edit formatting. And also, she like literally sexually assaulted her in the worst possible way. Possibly before she became an adult. Keepler says, I'm sorry, what? Holy crap, none of this is okay. Is there somewhere safe you can move to? I'd report this. I'm so sorry, it's not normal or okay. Crying Jackal says, I try to stay on the farm out west as much as I can, as I have my own room there and drinks in the fridge because I used to go up for months at a time. On the road, mom's not home or at my neighbor's crashing for a few days. Jack says this is sexual and emotional abuse alongside theft and potentially identity theft and blackmail. Your mother sounds like an extreme narcissist and control freak. Also, for blackmail on your dad is something he already did time for. She can't try twice for the same crime. Custody is irrelevant. As you said, you're 18. Legally losing custody just means nothing. If you can collect any proof of what she done, such as videos, audio recordings, receipts, photos, and sometimes testimony from trustworthy people, your mom can likely be criminally tried. If you can't square away the spare money and try and get a consultation with a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. I don't have that much in-depth legal knowledge, but a lawyer can tell you whether or not you have a case. Crying Jack, okay, the OP says, yeah, my mom had some winged up crap happen to her. Didn't make it right by any means, but most likely I probably can find someone who's a lawyer or study paralegal to help me out. Paradox of Purple says, call CPS, then APS, Adult Protective Services. If CPS won't do anything, they will work with you to find help. Your best bet is to plan to fully move out of the SAP. She'll be pissed that that's not anything you need to help her with. Kathy Gagg says, you don't need a lawyer. Go directly to police and file a report. Detail everything that's in this post. I count at least 4 felonies and several misdemeanors. Honestly, I lost count of the potential charges I would have sought if I was when I was prosecutor intern. Hamster Noir says, please get out. This is abuse on every level. If you can read, I'm glad my mom died by Jeanette McCurdy. Yeah, that's a good one. The audio book is by Jeanette McCurdy herself. I also have read the book. I haven't listened to the audiobook, but I should. I recommend it. What you're going through is financial, mental and emotional and sexual abuse. This is not the work of an entitled parent, but a deeply abusive woman who hurts you to control you. Words cannot express how terribly sorry I am. Truly wishing you the best, and I hope you get out soon. Me too. And definitely go to the police ASAP. Next is Ono Consequences, entitled Drug Karen loses it when she gets arrested for an accident she caused, tries to deflect blame onto me. This is a repost for Karen's in the Wild. Didn't even know there was a Karen's in the Wild. Does not have enough contributions, only 3 a week. does not meet our qualifications. Not before we begin. I did not suddenly screech to a halt or do anything dangerous in traffic or anything remotely like that. I was 100% not at fault in the accident, being easily made to second guess myself. I thought I might have somehow been at fault and made sure to ask the officers and the insured people if I had done anything wrong. They all said no. Yeah, it's happened when my husband got in his accident too. Not I had not broken anything or any driving rules. The other driver was completely in the wrong, and I didn't use my hazards because I didn't have time to consider it before the accident happened. For context, this happened in mid-May last year. I I had a trip planned out of state, but my Nissan Sentra's air conditioning compressor decided to short out and die about 10 p.m. the night before I was due to leave, and there wasn't time to get a rental car because I had to leave at 6 the next morning and live out in the sticks. My uncle, who was also my neighbor, was going to watch my cats while I was gone. Had recently bought a fairly young used Toyota Tacoma quad cab. When he heard what happened, he asked if I wanted to borrow it. The Tacoma was a second car. He also had an SUV. I accepted the offer. And now I'm glad my AC did die because I've since thanked God for it because if I'd been in an old sedan, this accident would have been a lot worse. The night I was returning home from the vacation, well, thank goodness you had a good vacation. It was 1 a.m. and I was driving 20 minutes from reaching home. Typical, always near home. Driving down a long, straight, semi-rural stretch of road. There were no other drivers visible around. In fact, I hadn't seen any other drivers in nearly half an hour at this point. If there had been other drivers near me, I might have tried a different tactic than what I did end up doing. As it was, this is what happened. I had stopped at a red stoplight when a raccoon came into the road and started flopping and staggering and rolling about as if it couldn't use its legs properly right in front of me. Okay, so hit it. Since I couldn't tell whether it was injured or rabid, we've had some rabies cases in our area lately. I immediately used the hands-free Bluetooth in the truck to call the police to see if animal control was available. While I was doing this, the light cycled through to green, but I stayed where I was. Again, there were no headlights visible anywhere around me on the long, empty road, and it was almost 1 in the morning, so I figured wrongly that no one was going to just materialize without me seeing them. After about 10 to 30 seconds of having stopped at the red light, and about 10 after the light cycled back to green, I'm looking for the name of the cross street to tell the police dispatcher that I'm on the phone with when I hear this engine gunning in the distance. I glance around for headlights to find where it's coming from. There's nothing visible. A second later, there's a loud wham, and the truck moves forwards in a short way. This middle-aged brunette lady had come up behind me without headlights on and plowed right into the back of the truck at full speed, even though she had all that long straight stretch of semi-rural road to see me as she was coming up. There was no squeal of brakes, no sound of her trying to stop, no skid marks on the road. She just plowed right into me full tilt, somewhere between 40 and 50 miles per hour. According to the police looking at the damage, though I can't be certain if it was true, maybe he exaggerated. And it was only the fact that the truck was built like a tank that kept me from getting hurt. I pulled over to the curb to get out of the truck to inspect the damage. I noticed, incredibly, it appears to be the brunette lady's airbag didn't go off. It might have been deflated before I got back there. I don't know. Usually, if an airbag inflates, there is smoke coming from it because it lets off some type of dusty thing. I've seen airbags deflate before. And there's always this coating of dust in the air. It looks like smoke. I'm sure it's not smoke. It's like an aerosol, almost. B, her passenger is obviously completely stoned and wasted. C, the truck has a decent-sized dent in the bed and a twisted bumper and busted taillight. D, her Jeep Cherokee is completely crumpled across the whole front and spewing fluids and steam. I mean, that's to be expected. And the tires are at an angle showing where the axle is probably bent or compromised. I yell over to her, "Are you hurt? What on earth happened?" She immediately starts screaming at me, "You slammed on the brakes right in front of me. You're stopped. And you should have been stopped." I mean, being in the road stopped like that is probably not the smartest idea, but she was on the phone with the cops when you hit her. They know she was stopped that whole time and that she did not slam on her brakes. I pointed to the raccoon, which has made it to the median, was still flopping around. And I tried to explain that I've actually been on the phone with the police and that the light had cycled through. I hadn't slammed on brakes because I'd already been sitting there for a good 30 seconds at least before this lady showed up. I didn't have time to bring up the fact that this lady's headlights had been off. As soon as I pointed to the raccoon, she started rolling her eyes and hitting the steering wheel, yelling, "Oh, my wanging. You stopped for a wanging raccoon. You should have run over it," etc. At this point, I decided that even if there's a chance she is hurt, it's not worth risking being physically attacked to go over there and find out. I get back in the truck, talk some more to the dispatcher, and don't get back out until the police come. First officer arrives, and I tell her I'm not hurt and to check the other two. As soon as she sees the officer coming, the Jeep driver starts spewing at her, telling her it's my fault that I brake checked the Jeep. I explained to the officer what really happened and that there's a recorded 911 call to prove it, because the dispatcher was actually talking to me when the Jeep lady came up full tilt and slammed into me. Also, the officer can see the lady's headlights are off. I hear the officer say the headlight switch isn't even turned on when she looks inside the Jeep, but the lady refuses to discuss these points and just keeps screaming at me for stopping for a wanging raccoon. That I brake checked her, / came to an unsafe stop right in front of her. So did she brake check you? Did she come to a stop in front of you? Or was she there the whole time and you just didn't see her and are driving around with your lights off? Which happens sometimes. I mean, I've caught myself doing that. It's really unusual, especially if you can't go, if you're in a well-lit place. Sometimes you don't realize that your headlights are off. Bear in mind, she was driving without headlights in the middle of the night and driving very fast at that, and setting herself up for some sort of accident, whether I was the one she wound up hitting or not, because she could have somebody could have pulled out in front of her because you're supposed to have your headlights on. 3 more officers arrived. 2 of the newcomers trapped the raccoon, while the first one that was already there tries to breathalyze the driver. I retreat to the other side of the truck to talk to the new 3rd officer to make my part of the crash report, but the 2 of us can still see and hear what's going on over the hood of the truck. The Jeep driver refuses to use the breathalyzer or cooperate with the field sobriety test because she's drunk. I keep telling the officer it's my fault now. I'm clearly the one on something, or at the very least at fault for daring to stop for a raccoon. The officer was talking to me and then joins his colleague, and they get the Jeep lady to calm down to do a breathalyzer. Her blood alcohol comes up many points above the legal limit. Shocker. Why am I not surprised? They do a second one to make sure there's no air, but the result is the same, and she's well and truly toasted. Of course she is. Jeep lady is naturally arrested. She's given permission to call someone to come get her passenger, who is just wandering around, even more sloshed than she is, but is also uninjured as far as anyone can tell. I get back into the truck and I can hear and see Jeep lady standing by the patrol car next to me, yelling into the phone saying, "It's so stupid. I'm getting arrested because some moron, well, brake checked me to let a more explicit wanging raccoon out of the road." At this point, the cops are rolling their eyes at her, and one of them is hanging out near me to make sure the lady doesn't decide to take a lunge at me, since she isn't handcuffed while she's making a phone call. Her insurance, of course, said it was her fault when I called them, and paid up without any faults when the time came to do so. That's good. This is because she flunked her breathalyzer so spectacularly, and because she was driving without headlights at 1 a.m. and made no attempt to hit the brakes. Also, in my state, in rear-ending accident, the posterior driver is always the one legally at fault, not the anterior, unless there's definite proof of brake checking / road aggression on the part of the anterior driver. I later learned that she is still trying to blame the incident on me instead of herself to the DMV after she sobered up. Some people are just delusional. Also, we found out the same lady had already been in trouble for causing multi-car pileup at an intersection right down the street from the one where she hit me about 2 years prior to the accident with me. She claimed it wasn't her fault either because the sun was in my eyes. She wasn't arrested for drinking driving for that one, but it would be willing to bet that she was at least buzzed. And if you're wondering, yes, my uncle was upset about the truck, but didn't get upset at me since it wasn't my fault. And nowadays, you never know. You'd never know it was an accident. The body shop did a great job, and the truck lady's insurance covered everything. Top rated comment is lick this boot. I'm curious if you're obviously at fault in an accident like this woman was. Can your insurance refuse to pay or the damages to your car? Do they pay things off and raise your rates dramatically, or cut you off? Blueport says it's the latter unless policy is liability only, where some people only carry on older cars. They may drop this lady as not meeting their underwriting standards, depending on whether she is already with an insurer of last resort. I don't think they could raise the rate high enough to cover someone causing this many accidents. Shasta Network guy said, I knew a guy who was like this lady. I removed myself from his life after a second DUI. I'll accept the first DUI can be an accident, especially if only slightly over the limit, but the second is unexcusable. Anyway, he was dropped by all carriers than the we won't insure anyone people. In addition to the DUIs, he had several at-fault accidents. The insurance company required he carry a $15K bond in addition to his $10K a year premium for liability only insurance. Yikes. That's crazy talk. Original characters, the second top rate comment, and they say, there may not have been hazard lights, but surely the vehicle running lights, tail lights, headlights would have been on, leaving very visible on a dark road. The lady was obviously looking anywhere but in front of her, probably on her phone. And OP says, or was just too drunk to care since her own headlights weren't even on. Their top rated comment is from Fiona again, Feisty Paws. Says, glad you're okay, but the real question is what's going on with the raccoon. OP says, I don't know. They took it away and I did not follow it because honestly I was too shaken up by the accident. That's fair. Somebody said that you might still be able to find out. Next, we have Best of Redditor updates. Entitled, My 34 male ex-wife, 32 female, divorced me after she got cancer so she could leave first. Now she wants to come back. Should I give her another chance? Oh, hell no. No, absolutely not. That's dumb. Unless she was doing it for your benefit. That's dumb. Original post, May 23rd, 2023. I met my wife, we'll call her Anna, at our first year at university. We dated throughout university and got married right after graduation. We were happy for a while until she discovered a lump in her right breast. I encouraged her to have it checked out. She was reluctant to do so, but ultimately did because breast cancer runs in her family, so you should definitely get it checked out. And sure enough, that's what she had. The good news, if it can be considered good news, is that the breast cancer was extremely treatable with chemo and radiation. Based on our family history, our doctor also recommended a double mastectomy for her. This put Anna in a really dark place. I suggested she go to therapy, but she outright refused and said she never wanted to hear me suggest that again. So I did my best to be encouraging and supportive to her. I took time off work to be at every appointment with her. I took on 100% of the household chores, both inside and out. I did all the shopping. I drove Anna everywhere she wanted to go. I planned special dates for us. I gave her an hour-long foot massage every night. I literally did whatever I could. About 6 weeks into her treatment, Anna brought up the idea of going to stay with her sister Sarah for a week. This honestly relieved me as I was burning the candle at both ends, trying to accomplish everything, and I thought some time apart would help us. 2 nights into our stay with Sarah, Anna called me and said she wanted a divorce. She said she had read a lot about men who abandon their wives when their wives get sick, and that she was determined to leave me before I could leave her. This man showed no indication of leaving you, Anna. None. Can't put into words how this crushed me. I loved my wife. She was my everything. I begged her to reconsider. I told her I never thought about leaving her, not once. I asked her again to go to therapy. She refused again, and I asked her to go to couples therapy with me, and she wouldn't. I asked her what I could do to convince her that I wanted to stay. She said there was nothing. I'm a man, and therefore I would leave. End of story. Just because a lot of men do that doesn't mean every man's going to do that. It took about a year because where we live, thanks COVID, but eventually everything was finalized, and I ended up selling the house and splitting the proceeds between me and my now ex-wife. I didn't want to stay in that town anymore, so I put a transfer request at work, and I ended up moving to a town about 2 hours away. For the past couple of years, I've been focusing on myself more. I got a dog. I've been on a few dates, but nothing serious. I picked up hiking as a hobby and started gardening. I need to pick up hiking as a hobby. I really do. Out of the blue, Anna called me 3 weeks ago. She said she'd been in town on a trip with friends and saw me, and all of her old feelings rushed back. She said she was sick and out of her mind at the time, and that I couldn't hold her words or her actions against me. She couldn't be that sick, I'm sorry. She said she still loved me, that she always had, and that she regretted leaving me and begged me to give her another chance. I'm so confused. If I'm being honest, I still love Anna, but I'm no longer in love with her. She broke my heart. I was devastated when she ended things. It took me a long time to get my head on right. I also know she really was in a bad place because of the cancer. Do I owe it to her what we had to hear her out? I'm scared that if we reconnect, I'll always feel like she had one foot out the door. But maybe that's unfair and I don't know what to do. Should I give her another chance like she wants? I would say no. Update May 26, 2023, 3 days later. First, I'd like to say thank you to everyone who left comments on my original post. I now know what people mean when they say rest in peace my inbox. I posted that and went to bed never expecting it would blow up so much. By the time I woke up, the post was locked and I'm not sure why. So I couldn't respond to any comments, but I read as many as I could and I tried to take everything into consideration. Many of you suggested I try out my ex-wife Anna for an in-person conversation, and the overwhelming consensus was that meeting her in person would tell me all I need to know. You were right. It seemed reasonable to me. I texted her and she jumped at the chance to meet, so we did yesterday after all the work was done. I chose to ask her to meet at a local coffee shop. Maybe it sounds bad, but I didn't want her at my house or anywhere private just in case. I don't blame you. That's really smart. Anyway, Anna was already there when I got there. She got up and hugged me, but I didn't hug her back. And then we sat down and I asked her to remain quiet while I talked. And then I told her everything. I'm going to sum up here because honestly, I don't remember everything I said. I think I talked for like 10 minutes solid while she just sat there and teared up. I told her things about how much she had devastated me. I told her that I would have stuck with her through thick and thin, no matter what. I told her that I loved her and that hadn't changed after her diagnosis or treatment plan. I told her that I was broken after she initiated divorce. I told her how hard it was for me to pull myself back together. A lot of you pointed out that if Anna and I had got back together, I should worry about what she would do the next time she got sick or if I got sick, and you were right. So I told her that too. She got mad and interrupted me at that point. She said I was being unfair, that I wasn't taking into consideration her mental health at the time. Ma'am, you initiated a divorce. You had plenty of time to think about that. You had an entire year. She said she wasn't thinking straight, and now she was. I took the chance to ask her if she'd been to therapy. She told me she hadn't, and that she had no plans to, and that she didn't need it. I have to admit that crushed me a little. I asked her why. Just why? It's the one question I've really wrestled with over the years. And she said she'd gone looking for support groups and found a lot of women who had stories about their partners leaving. Okay, that's anecdotal evidence. She even mentioned Reddit, funny enough. She said she talked through her sister, Sarah. Anna said that Sarah, to her credit, had tried to dissuade her from divorcing me, but that between social media and some of Anna's friends, Anna felt like she had to go through with it to be seen as a strong woman. Anna's stupid, I'm sorry. What is the word for what? That is word for word what she said to me. I don't remember anything else exactly, but I will never forget that. She broke my heart and threw away our relationship because somehow in her mind that translated to being strong. Then started to try and tell me we could get back together. At that point, I just told her flat out that it wasn't happening. What it comes down for me is I can't trust her. I'd always be worrying about the same thing happening again. She cried a lot and tried to convince me for a little while, and then I got up to leave. She threw her iced coffee in my face and stormed out. Wow. So yeah, we're definitely not getting back together. I have the closure I always wanted. I wish I felt better. I've been dwelling on it for the past day, and I keep wondering if there's something I could have done better. Some way I could have saved our relationship, but now I know there's not. I've blocked her number, and I kind of hope never to hear from her again. Dang. Dang, LP. No, you deserve better, LP. Definitely deserve better. Oh, that's not. I'm just seeing if there's an update. No. All these posts are from 3 years ago. Sorry, LP, that sucks so bad. HP fan says the whiplash between you can't blame me, I was having health issues, and I don't want and will never need therapy is wild. If you're having mental health issues, you should get therapy. Hello. Indigo All Natural says, right. I assumed she meant she had gone to therapy and gotten some clarity, but she sure fooled us. Calling Water said if she'd gone to a good therapist, she would have learned that she had to take responsibility for the mess she made and what she put OOP through. Not trying to do, oops, I was out of my head. Please pretend you never lived through what I did to you. Next top rated comment is from Eastern Ad, and it says, oof, talk about pathological self-sabotage. Grizzle kind of answers, holy crap, it's a good phrase for my ex-wife. And obviously, oops, X2. Buttercup Cake says, is your ex-wife your wife again? And Grizzles kind of says, I divorced her twice just to make sure she knew it. Fun and Geeky says the third top rated comment, and they say, nothing says I don't need therapy and you should forgive me for leaving you quite like throwing iced coffee into someone's face. Exactly. Zephyr quotes, you can't blame me. I was in a really bad mental place. You think therapy might have helped with that? No, and how dare you? At last, we have Made Me Smile. It is entitled, my wife recently came out as a lesbian. We just decided to hold a marriage funeral and exchanged co-parenting vows and made each other roast cakes. Slide 1 is what she made me. Slide 2 is what I made her. That's funny. I mean, good for OP for being very understanding about this. Very, very understanding. So this is her cake to him. It says single hot dad. And his cake to her says, congratulations. Oh, that's awesome. I love this. I love that you did co-parenting, vows, and marriage funeral. It's awesome. What a nice, understanding guy. Suspicious Regret says, sorry your marriage is over, but I'm glad you both seem to be on good time. Also cute cakes. Tight Accident says, I'm sorry, Ross. No Kimmer, only Zool says, Jesus, friends would have been different if Ross had been this awesome. Edit, I love Friends and Ross. Yes, he was cheated on, and no, that wasn't cool. Yes, he did some nice things for his ex despite him not being okay about it. My comment was more a beautiful act between two cool people who chose to deal with this split and with love. Love and respect isn't common on my feed, so I want to give this person a shout. Actually, it would have been better not if Ross had been this awesome, but if his ex had been this awesome. Wasn't her name Susan or something? I might be thinking of Seinfeld. Relevant Rev says if they made friends again today, Ross would be in therapy for pretty much the whole time. True. At Noise says seems like you both married your best friends. Oh, that's so sweet. And Accurate Pollution says, how are you feeling? How has this felt in the situation you're in? I can't imagine. Somebody answers, happened to a friend of mine. Obviously, it sucks, but they make the most of it and co-parent. It's better than that. Better reminder that homophobia hurts people and hurt people hurt people. Yeah. Okay, somebody asked, what does homophobia have anything to do with this? Everything. She wouldn't have felt the need to marry a man if there wasn't homophobia. Expensive Mirror says people tend to be gay and hide it for long before anyone knows they're gay, most commonly out of fear of being ridiculed and discriminated. Dual Illustrator says it causes people to suppress their sexuality. So a client says exactly. If less homophobia existed, OP's wife would have been gay before the marriage. Right. And somebody laughs their butt off. And we're downvoting that person. The original guy is that it happened to a friend of mine. said, well, due to internalized homophobia, I didn't accept that I was bi until my 30s. Luckily, that is cool with my partner, but I do regret the missed opportunities and connections I could have made if I wasn't ignoring part of myself. Likewise, I have to imagine it might play a role in why a gay person might try to fit themselves into the straight box, either consciously or unconsciously. Exactly. 120,000%. And that is it for today. I think I'm going to try and go for a walk because I need to do something with myself. I love you all. Have a good day. Love you. Anybody die while we're on here? Let me know. 80-year-olds died while we were on here. That's a terrible joke. I have very dark humor. I'm sorry. Very, very dark humor. I miss Dolly and I miss Tim. They're lights in the world that we will all miss, especially Dolly. Tim is not going to get what he deserves because of Dolly. The recognition he deserves. Bye. Love you all. Take care. Bye.